Alrighty, good morning, everybody. I am so sorry about the title. I just realized, thanks to my Discord, it said Nolan Odyssey updates, but I meant Nolan Wells, the child who has died in Florida after hanging out with his white friends. And if Discord didn't start sharing their Iliad Odyssey fun facts, I would have been like, I literally was like, why are you sharing this? And then I was like, oh no. And then I had a realization that I titled the stream incorrectly. So I'm so sorry about that. We're going to do updates on Nolan Wells, who I'm obviously, it's a very upsetting story. So, and these updates are just even more upsetting. I think it's going to be as bad as people think it is. So we'll go over that in a second. Today, I want to talk about, because it is Friday, man, this is the hardest time of my week because, you know, sometimes it feels like all the stories happen at the end of the week. But even more than that, it feels like first, I miss you over the weekend, of course. But, you know, I always have to pick and choose, like, what am I going to cover before we break for the weekend? And so I've picked out stories that are trending, but I've also picked out stories that I've been wanting to talk about from even last week that I've wanted to discuss. And then I have some kind of like funnish queer stuff at the end here that I recently came across some channels, and I thought that could be fun to watch. So hopefully we have a good stream. Of course, we're going to start out heavy today. So everybody take a deep breath and just, you know, I know it's early for the US people, so just keep that in mind if you're in Croatia or in Europe. I know it's our afternoon time, and you know, maybe you're close to ending your workday, or maybe you're on your commute home, or maybe you just got home. But either way, this is going to be heavy no matter where you are or what you're doing in the world. Let's start off with some good news, though intense news out of Venezuela. So as you guys know, Venezuela had this horrible earthquake that brought down a large number of buildings. And because a large number of buildings went down, of course, you know, thousands of people, I think 2,000 plus people have been declared dead, and then there's still survivors in the rubble. And this story that's breaking from Global South World says 11 days after Venezuela's twin earthquakes, a mother and her children were rescued alive from the rubble. Allegedly, she kept them alive with her breast milk. Now, this and many stories like this are still coming out. There are still people alive and stuck under that rubble. There are also people, family members, who do not have government support, digging through this rubble to find their loved ones because they're not getting the resources needed. And so, you know, it's just a really devastating story. I'm going to go ahead and play the clip. There's, well, you'll see. Here we go.
El niño lo está asfixiando más, papi, sácalo. Saca el niño primero, sácalo, papá, saca el niño primero, limpia los escombros. Jala la niña, jala la niña. Y la niña, no puede sacar la niña tampoco.
Now, before we move on to other people's stories, look at this photo. Like, it's just like a very, just like, can you even imagine photo? I couldn't even imagine. It says as Day 12, Venezuela authorities said that June 24th earthquakes killed at least 3,500 people. 3,500 people. At least. The disaster has also left 16,740 people injured and more than 17,000 without homes.
La situación
He says the situation in Venezuela is not easy at
de
all.
Venezuela no está nada fácil. Estoy acá
He said, I'm here all day and I leave late.
durante todo el día y me voy tarde, porque mi abuela también
He said, because my grandma is also waiting for me.
me está esperando y también está preocupada
And she's also worried because we have not found my mother.
porque mi mamá no la conseguimos. Ya es el día
It is already day 12 and I still know nothing about my mother.
12 y todavía no sé nada de mi mamá. La fe
Faith is the last thing you lose, and I hope to.
es lo último que se pierde y la esperanza también.
It's just so devastating. I cannot imagine just what these people are going through. I watched the most heartbreaking video of a father finally finding his daughter deceased and finally pulling her out and just finally having that closure as well. I think we forget how much closure is necessary in a lot of our grieving and a lot of our mourning. And with that said, I want to talk about, where's my TikTok? Hold on. Where is my TikTok? Hold on. Let me pull it up. I have lost it. Here it is. I want to talk about news out of Palestine. Again, it's like bittersweet news. This beautiful story out of Palestine, ruined by Israel's murder of a man who tried to do something kind for his community, which I think is the tactic that a lot of oppressors used, which is to steal your hope away. I mean, we read about this in the Holocaust, that hope was what kept a lot of people alive during the Holocaust. I mean, hope is what keeps Palestinians alive. It's what keeps the Sudanese alive. It's what keeps a lot of us alive throughout our whole day, is the hope that it will get better. And I think Israel's tactic, much like every oppressor before them, is trying to steal that hope from people. And I think of that when I hear this story. So it says, man behind Gaza's World Cup watch party is killed in Israeli strike. Okay.
For a few hours, hundreds of people in Gaza gathered to do something ordinary: watch Egypt play against Argentina in the World Cup. But the man who made it possible was killed in an Israeli airstrike before kickoff. Mohammed Al-Wahidi helped organize giant screens where families in Gaza could gather to watch Egypt's World Cup matches together. He was the director of the Egyptian committee in Gaza, which provides food, shelter and other humanitarian assistance to Palestinians. But just before Egypt kicked off against Argentina, a strike hit a car in Gaza City's Sabra neighborhood. Al-Wahidi, a driver, and two brothers aged 8 and 10 were killed, according to the director of Shifa Hospital. The Israeli military says Al-Wahidi was not the target of the strike and that it was aiming for a Hamas militant. For many Palestinians in Gaza, Egypt's World Cup run has become about more than just soccer. Egypt shares a border with Gaza, and the team's head coach, Hossam Hassan, has repeatedly spoken out in support of Palestinians. After Egypt beat Australia, Hassan waved a Palestinian flag on the pitch. And before the Argentina match, he had this message: I ask all athletes and all media professionals of their different religions from their different countries, maybe during the World Cup, to send a message. Please let the Palestinian people live. Live. They do not want anything, just to live. The gathering Mohammed Al-Wahidi helped put together still went ahead. He just never made it there to see it.
Yo. So they go for your hope. You know, that's what oppressors do. They take away the hope of a happy ending. They make you feel small and powerless. Obviously, I do think the Israeli government is lying. I think they saw the power of his skill of bringing, the outside world in, the inside world out. He put the game on the big screens. He gave Palestinians hope. He made them feel, we take for granted how these things make us feel like people, sharing a celebratory moment with your family, eating food with your family, watching a game. Like, these are the things that make us feel like people, like human, like grounded, like this is building community. And he gave that to Palestinians. And I think without a doubt that Israel has been found time and time again to have deliberately targeted civilians. So I think this is obviously a lie from them. Other sad news, and speaking of other fascist governments, we have the U.S. government under scrutiny from Mexico. A father has been killed. His son's testimony, devastating. And he basically finds out because he sees his dad's video on the internet and hears his dad's voice crying out for help. It's really devastating. And now the Mexican government is saying, we want answers for the citizens who are being killed in the U.S. And so let's watch this story. Here's now this impact. And then we have a couple of other TikToks on the story.
Fatally shot this man during a traffic stop in Houston. This appears to be the first fatal shooting since Minneapolis, but unlike incidents before, there's no accessible bystander footage, and that makes this even scarier. According to his family, Lorenzo Salgado Araujo was in the process of obtaining legal status in the US. He was killed while picking up employees at a traffic stop. ICE claimed that Salgado Araujo was trying to evade arrest. They said he ignored verbal commands and tried to use his car as a weapon to run over an agent. But the thing is, that's exactly what ICE said about Renee Nicole Good and Alex Preddy too, that they were the threats. It was bystander footage that proved them wrong and sparked global outrage. But for Salgado Araujo, we don't have the same immediate evidence, which means we're relying on investigations by DHS and the FBI. Both have tried to withhold evidence before. When Renee Nicole Good was shot in 2025, the FBI immediately immediately took evidence like her car before Minnesota authorities could look at it. State investigators on the Alex Preddy case said DHS blocked them from accessing the crime scene. In another ICE shooting, federal prosecutors charged Julio Sosa Solis with assault, but after security footage eventually proved him innocent, they had to drop the case. Minnesota has had to sue the Trump administration to keep it from concealing evidence. This is why the League of United Latin Citizens doesn't trust the FBI or ICE's track record and announced a $5,000 reward for anyone who can provide information about the shooting. Bystander proof has become the only way to hold ICE accountable under a regime that just wants to protect their own. And that's why we're seeing fewer mass raids, to make sure there are fewer eyes on ICE.
So here's his son, Ronaldo.
Day. Around 7 a.m., I was notified.
Wait, hold on.
I want to tell you about my day. Around 7 a.m., I was notified by my mom that something bad had happened to my dad. We didn't know what. All we knew is that it was ICE related. At 7:05, 5 minutes after, I left the house, drove all the way up to his work site an hour away to find any evidence of his van. By 8 a.m., after not finding any evidence, I saw a Facebook post on the Southeast Houston Facebook page about ICE activity on the intersection of Wayside and Canal. I saw my dad's van, but no sign of him. I frantically called family, friends, loved ones to see if they can find any information. I saw a video posted on Facebook that he had been shot. I recognized him immediately. Not from his appearance, but from his voice, crying for help as he lay on the street, bleeding out. I want to tell you about my...
And this is news out of Mexico from the president. She says we cannot turn a blind eye to the Mexicans.
Compromisos frente a los mexicanos que han fallecido en
Who have died during ICE operations or who are and were detained.
operativos de ICE o que estaban detenidos en estos centros de
In these detention
detención
centers,
que operan empresas
which are operated by private companies contracted by ICE.
privadas contratadas por ICE.
Which are, oh, sorry, I read that.
El gobierno de México
The Mexican government is obliged to provide,
está obligado a dar atención
obligated to provide consular assistance to all Mexicans who request it.
consular a todas y a todos los mexicanos que lo soliciten, pero particularmente a
But particularly to Mexicans whose only crime, in quotations,
mexicanas y mexicanos cuyo único delito es trabajar en
is to be working honestly in the United States.
los Estados Unidos de manera honesta. Que no podemos
So now Mexico wants answers. And I mean, I think it's a lot. I hope the story gets more coverage. I hope something can happen. I hope there's some closure for these families. And I think it's just another example of why we have to be very careful and understand that we live in a really fucked up world. And it requires a lot of patience and compassion to process, yes, our participation, but even so, the true impact on people's families. It's not just about dismantling systems. It's about caring for people living under those systems. We have to do both. I know there's like this idea that like, Brittany, I've gotten feedback where it's like, Brittany, I can't go to therapy. Like we live under capitalism. It's like, I hear you, but also like someone has to eat tonight, even if. So like, I need you to go to therapy. I need you to feed yourself. I need you to love your loved ones. I need you to make decisions for your family that, doesn't make you feel you're not selfish for caring about your family. You're not selfish for prioritizing your family while we're busy dismantling these systems. Because at the end of the day, like, no family should have to go through this. Like, no one should have to identify their dad by the sound of his voice crying out in a video. And we can't wait for the system to be dismantled for us to, protect our fathers like that, or for us to care about our family. So you have to do both. So you're not selfish for taking time. You're not selfish for grieving. You're not selfish for locking yourself away for a moment. You have to do what you have to do, because I can't imagine the grief of hearing your relative's voice, your father's voice. It would haunt me probably for the rest of my life to hear my father's voice in distress like that. What a horrible situation, truly. One more sad story, but very important update that I want us to pay attention to. So Nolan Wells' case, we need to pay attention to it. I just have a feeling it's going to be really, really important and set a precedent for how people need to think of things through moving forward in terms of, again, protecting our children, raising them in certain situations, working on dismantling systems, and processing that our kids, especially if you're Black and brown in the United States, like they don't always get the same childhood as everybody else. And that is like the hardest truth of existing in the world as it is. And so like just brace yourself. But, you know, I think a lot of people already knew. I think a lot of people had a feeling. So this is an update. This isn't definitive, but I think the update speaks for itself. Here we go.
And then for your final block today, I've got more news you need to know, starting with the whole Nolan Wells situation. Because to start, you've got deleted text messages, an argument on the water, and a judge that's defending her son from accusations. And all of this is just blowing up since Nolan Wells' body was found earlier this week. And now you've got Ben Crump, the same lawyer who fought for George Floyd and Trayvon Martin, stepping in because Wells' family says that there are too many unanswered questions. Got them claiming that there is nothing right about this case.
You're trying to tell us just accept this an accident and sweep it under the rug. His mother, Christine, his father, Elmo, say, no, they will not allow that to happen.
With all these questions and suspicion, you got a lot of people pointing fingers at Wells' friends, asking why they left him behind on the island in the first place. And with one of the guys that he was with being the son of a judge in the area, she then went to Facebook to deny rumors about their involvement in all this, saying no one in our family is trying in any way to impede with the investigation. And you had her claiming the kids had to leave the island that day because of an issue with their boat, and that Wells decided to stay and catch a ride with another group of friends. But then you also had Crump saying that Wells had a conversation with a girl who apparently had a different story.
They are conflicting. She's saying he went and got on the boat. They saying he didn't get on the boat. So which is it? And all we know is Nolan is dead.
And then
So what I'm hearing from that is that the original group said Nolan said, I'll get on a boat with somebody else. The girl Nolan was last seen with says that he didn't get on either of the boats, allegedly. And now, or she didn't see him get on a boat, or maybe she did. But the second group is saying they didn't get him on the boat. Is that what I heard? Let's rewind it to make sure.
different story.
They are conflicting. She's saying he went and got on the boat.
Okay, so she's saying he went and got on a boat because she was the last person he was seen with.
They saying he didn't get
And then the second group is saying, no, he didn't get on our boat. Is that what I'm hearing?
on the boat. So which is it? And all we know is no.
So this is why I say, like, something is up with these kids. And because I don't get it. Like, I don't get how your friend that you're responsible for, like, I understand we sometimes socialize with people we're not as close to. That's why people are saying these weren't his real friends. And this is why I say, like, for all of us who are risk takers when we were young and groups of people socializing, like, this is why millennials say, like, you know, there's like that, maybe it feels a little callous to say right now in the context, but like, we're surprised some of us didn't die. There is this like fear. And so again, I think the hardest part as parents is knowing when to give your kids freedom and when to keep them safely at home. And so in no way are we blaming these parents. It's just something to keep in mind about. I heard some people on the internet, I saw some people say like, these parents were wrong for sending him. They should have known better. That's like another version of victim blaming. Like, God forbid these parents give their kid a chance to do something a normal kid gets to do every day, which is go out with his friends. I don't want the parents to feel like it's their fault that Nolan is dead. But somebody knows what happened to Nolan. I just refuse to believe that all those people were on that little sandbar. All of those people exist and not one person saw what happened. Somebody knows something.
Nolan is dead.
And then with that, you've also got authorities asking for more information about a video that's been going around from that day, where we can hear what sounds like people arguing in the background.
So I hear someone saying like, fuck you, but I don't know who's it at or what's happening. But look how many people are here. That's what I'm saying. Look how many people are here. Not one person knows what happened to Nolan. How many people go to this sandbar?
So right now, no one's confirmed if Wells was involved in that. But then on top of those issues, you're seeing some concerns with Wells's phone, making things even more complicated for the family.
They're saying messages that were deleted from his cell phone, so they want to try to dot every I and cross every T. They're trying to look at what is that about. There's so many inconsistencies going on.
And also, under all of this, you're seeing the issue of race.
The family has some concerns about the state of Mississippi doing it.
Like, if these were really close friends with Nolan, like this judge says, like we're mourning as well, then why aren't you and Nolan's parents working together for answers? This is how I know they're not really friends, because the parents aren't friends. Why wouldn't the parents be doing press conferences together, be interviewed together? Why wouldn't everyone be in a group together? Why wouldn't all of Nolan's besties be in a group on camera saying like, we want answers? But they're all hiding away. They're all being suspicious. The white mother's like, oh, we're grieving too. Why aren't you grieving with the family? Why doesn't it feel like Nolan's family doesn't know you? I'm telling you.
Investigation of the death of a young black man where young white students may be looked at as having some culpability.
And when you look online, you're seeing a lot of people having those similar concerns, saying, I absolutely do not believe it was an accident. There should be a completely independent investigation because I do not trust Mississippi at all. And he was left behind.
I thought it was in Florida. It's in Mississippi? Mississippi Island. Wait, why did I think it was a sandbar in Florida? Am I stupid? I don't know how these... Why did I think it was... Is Mississippi Island in Florida or is it in Mississippi? I know that sounds stupid, but sometimes other places are named other things. I don't know why I thought the story was coming out of Florida.
And on a Mississippi island. We love to preach equality until a black boy is the only one in the group. And then
on Mississippi Island, not Mississippi. Okay, it's on Mississippi Island. Oh, okay.
Silent suspicion and accidents.
Okay,
so you now have Grump saying that they're flying the body to D.C. for an independent autopsy. He's hoping they're going to get results back pretty soon. So for now, the case is to be continued. And then also in the news, you should know about
Wait. Did he say the part out loud or did I miss it because I was paying attention to chat?
They are coming.
The kids had to leave the island, saying no one.
Wait, did he talk about, did I miss it because I was thinking about chat? Because I watched this before I played this. Did he talk about how they allegedly deleted messages from Nolan's phone? Did the lawyer say that? Did you hear that? Hold on.
You can hear what sounds like people arguing in the background, making things even more complicated for the family.
They're saying messages that were deleted from his cell phone. So
messages were deleted from his cell phone. So, okay, allegedly. Okay, so here's the thing. Sorry, I was multitasking. Okay, here's the thing. So I'm getting mixed stories from different parts of the internet as well. So I have too many thoughts in my head. But first, I'm hearing that there might not have been a reception on the sandbar. Then I'm hearing there was a fight. Then I'm hearing that there's different stories about what everyone is saying. And then I'm hearing somebody touched his phone and deleted text messages. And so I'm sitting here like, wait a second, what is going on? And now this is why I'm saying, like, for me, and again, I'm just a normie trying to read the story and like keep up with the story as well. But just the fact that the families aren't getting together for me says everything. I don't understand why the parents aren't like, why aren't I watching interviews with all 4 parents or all the pairs of parents coming together as a community? And for me, that's it. Like something bad happened and that feels really strange. Yeah, tampering with the evidence, 100%. Something happened. Somebody saw something. And that's going to be the problem. Just crazy. Yeah, Chet says Judge Mom is probably helping cover stuff up. Who knows? But wouldn't be surprised. Okay, so anyways, we'll keep up with that story. We'll watch the updates because I'm just devastated, especially with summertime coming around. We should pay attention to those things. And also, let me just bring it up really fast. Okay, Hallie, please. Thank you. Hold on. Hold on. I never covered this story, but it actually plays into things. Hold on. I want somebody else's resource, though. I don't want to watch. I don't want to watch this guy cover it because I don't like his content. Hold on. Okay, so this, if you guys don't remember, this story is recirculating because of Nolan's story. I didn't cover it at the time, but there was, oh wait, Discord said, seems to be in Mississippi on the coast of the Gulf of Mexico. Okay, thank you. Thank you for that, Discord. Do you guys remember this story that happened? It was a black teen was left on the, well, watch it. You can watch it. So look how big this water bank is. Do you see it? So this family is vlogging and they're approaching this group of teens.
You can swim down wherever you fucking retard.
Okay, so it's like, you know, foul language.
Bro, how am I gonna get you back home? You don't think I'm on my kids is gonna be worried? Yeah, your mom. My mom's name. My dad. Your mom is always worried about you. My dad's in prison. I think that's why. Your dad's in prison. We know. We can tell by looking at you. Bro, we get you can't swim, but
Bro,
we
just
just
don't get
got
a
you.
kayak.
Have a fucking life jacket on, Marquise.
I'll just wait.
So he's like, you've got a fucking life jacket on, Marquise. And he goes, no, I'll just wait.
You have a life jacket.
You have a life jacket. So they're bullying their friend who's too afraid to swim across.
Black, it doesn't matter. It's not gonna say.
Oh, yes, it does.
Bro, I'll just find a way.
So here he is. He's in a life jacket. He's too afraid to cross the water.
Yeah, they think I'm about to go back, but I can't.
Bro, you have a life jacket.
I'm gonna die.
He's too afraid. He said, I'm gonna die.
Hold on. You have to go.
I'm just trying to
You did that to
get
get over there. We taught him how to swim.
Oh, so I can just like hold on.
It says we taught him how to swim, which just FYI, somebody who almost drowned to death. I literally will tell you this right now. I consider myself a pretty good swimmer. Like I've been swimming since I was an infant. Like I consider myself like a pretty okay swimmer, but my lungs are shot. Okay. I almost drowned in Belize. I literally almost died. And if my friend wasn't near enough to hear me screaming for help, I would have absolutely died that day. 1000%. So as somebody who's nearly drowned, I will just tell you this right now. I consider myself a good swimmer. If he is just learning to swim, he has every reason to be scared, every reason to be hesitant, every reason to not trust going into this big body of water.
Right here if you want.
Yeah, I might drown.
You won't drown.
Bro, you won't drown. You're not going to drown. I promise you won't drown.
There you go.
Thank you.
What's your name?
Huh?
What's your
Oh,
name?
my name is Marquise. But everybody calls me Rivard because I go to like Denellen.
Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was okay getting over here. And they think I'm about to swim back. I can't even swim.
Good job right now.
So he said, I can't even swim.
Probably on board on this. And it's my first time here.
It's your fault.
And it's his first time.
Oh, welcome.
Yeah.
How'd you get over here?
Oh, they made me take that way over there, and they had 2 life jackets on. I'm never coming back with y'all.
Okay, smart. He said, I'm never coming back with y'all. Good.
We told you you're coming. We life jacket.
A life jacket.
Float.
This ain't even for a big kid. This for a little kid.
Oh my God. You're welcome.
Yeah, I'm never coming back with y'all.
He's saying, I'm never coming back with you.
I don't know what to say.
His friends are assholes. That's what he said. Okay, so they're just like, his friends are assholes. He's saying, I'm never going to come back with you guys. So this story had happened and it kind of blew up. And now it's resurfacing because of everything happening with Nolan. I mean, for good reason. You know what I mean? Like, for very good reason. So, you know, that's why everybody is so upset about Nolan, because it just feels like this all over again. Like, what if that family had been there? What if he felt pressured? What if the son had gone down? What if nobody cared about him? What if everyone, you know, and because of patriarchy and white supremacy intersecting, there's like this extra level of bullying, you know? There's this extra level of, you're a boy, be a man, cross over, come on, you're such a baby. And the white supremacist perspective as well. I don't know if he was the only black kid in the group. I don't know that. But there is that insinuation based off of the way that they were treating him, right? So there's like all of these layers put together that I think is exactly why we have to be just aware that these stories are happening. And why, again, when we talk about why black people can't be racist, we're talking about like this, like when when black families, specifically black parents, say, I don't want my kids to have white friends, they're thinking about these scenarios in which those white friends they'll be friends with your kid and they'll still think they're like your kid is different than them or not as important as them, or they won't go the extra mile to protect them. And there will be like bullying within friend groups, which we know happens, by the way. We know happens. And so again, as like bullying happens with kids, guys, and it's really vicious and it gets kids killed. Kids are raped by other kids. Like, I'm telling you right now, you've got to really understand your kids are not innocent, but they're naive. You know, they're not, because nobody's innocent. We're all just animals on a planet, but they're innocent in the sense that they're naive, but yet they grow up and they listen to you, and the way you treat people, they will treat other kids that way. If you as the adult raise your kids in an environment where like you dismiss people or talk down about people or do rape apologia, which we're about to cover in a second, or racism, your kids will internalize that and they can bully a kid to death. I know it sounds weird, like I'm trying to coach the racist parents on not being racist, but I think it's just like, if you don't even realize, like, you not saying anything to your kid, even if you're not racist, is the same thing. You have to tell your kids, you have to remind your kids, like, you cannot bully children, period. Sexual orientation, ethnicity, what their food smells like, nothing. Okay, this is no reason. And then you have to understand that if you don't say anything about it, if you don't cover these stories with your kids are going to be put in a situation. I mean, the only maybe good thing that came out of like this video was maybe at least these white parents showed for their kids, just like, hey, if you see somebody calling for help, help them. And that's one better lesson than anything else these parents are doing by staying silent. Like, what if this family had just swam by and minded their business? You know, so you have to communicate with your kids. You got to educate your kids, because your kids are going to be bullies, you know? It's really devastating. I can't tell you how many horrific stories adult people have told me about their childhoods you would never know happened to them as kids. Guys, really, really horrific stuff. Like, just really devastatingly horrific stuff people have to live with the rest of their lives because of some fucking kid at school. Okay? So again, children need to be held reasonably, appropriately accountable, given their age and everything. And we have to pay attention as the adults in the room how we're raising our kids. And that includes neighbors, aunties and uncles, cousins, all of us. Kids are listening to us. Kids are hearing how we talk about people on the news. They're hearing the jokes we make. So pay attention to those things when you're opening your mouth, okay? Also, guys, I just want to say, because it's just come to mind, I really just think that I am lucky as a creator that I have somehow gotten the attention of like really great viewers. And over the last couple of days, many of us have been going back and forth, and whether it's in the comment sections on YouTube or here in chat or over on the Discord. And I'm continuously impressed with our ability to, even if it's a little uncomfortable and a little speed bumpy at first, get to some understanding and seeing each other in some capacity to understand that there will be communication errors. And if we talk it out enough, maybe we'll get to the real crux of it. But it does take a lot of effort. And I see that effort that you guys are making with me, with other people. And I know that it's hard, but I just want you to know that I do see it and I recognize it. And it's so important, because it's not just in this space that you're learning that skill. You're going to take that skill out into, I guess, the real world, if you will. But, you know, this is the real world too. People are impacted by what you say. I'm impacted, right? Transparently, like, I am a real person. I take your opinions very seriously and I'm very impacted. And so I try to really discern whose message I should internalize and embody, right? So just know that you are picking up skills, even if you don't know it yet. And I know over on my commentary channel, I've got a little bit of a different audience over there. And even the feedback I'm getting over there, like, if some people are hearing for their first time words like informed consent, or we heard, you might hear for the first time, like, even conversations about consent you've never heard. So, you know, just give yourself some credit, and also the willingness to learn, and also the realization that, man, we really are born into such an evil place. And we really got to unlearn all that evil. And also, you know, there's a lot of good in the world, but like that starts with you and me and everybody else, right? Okay. Now, I want to move on to this story. It's going to piss you off though. Watching, just as for prep of this stream, this snippet from TYT is incredibly upsetting. Absolutely disgusting. It is rape apologia. It is, we're going back, you know, it is how it is. We go 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. We are in Trump's America. And TYT, I know some people thought I was insinuating they were leftists. No, they're liberals who hit a ceiling. They were considered progressive for a time. They're not. And even back then, I would have questioned it. But I need you to understand how bad this clip is. There is so much rape apologia happening right now. It's insane, but it is also typical of patriarchy. We've all heard it before. And I just need to make content to remind you, it doesn't have to be this way. This is training from patriarchy. This is absolutely internalized misogyny on Ana Kasparian's part. And this is absolutely disgusting reporting from TYT. Okay? This is about the victims of Graham Plattner.
details that were omitted in Politico's reporting, because the Politico piece had failed to report something that Rassicot had said to Jake Tapper, actually, in a subsequent interview. Now, she didn't get detailed about it, but Dropsite News caught it and decided to investigate it. So I'm going to go to what Ryan Grimm is, what he reported.
Ryan Grimm, he's gotten so much heat over the last few weeks, as he should get even more of it for the way that he has uplifted Graham Plattner. He has basically made so many excuses for Graham Plattner's activity and behavior. And this is what I'm saying, just prepare yourselves, okay? It's disgusting.
On X, Politico knew at the time of publication precisely what Jenny Rassicot texted to Graham Plattner, but deliberately omitted it from their article. Rassicot, according to the lead Politico reporter on the story, told Plattner she needed her glute massage. He told her that he was coming right over, and she responded by telling him not to do so.
Can you please process this information? So Jenny, who has a lover relationship with Graham Plattner, a sort of, friends with benefits, if you will, respectfully, okay, which is obviously fine as long as everything's consensual, right? Was texting him flirty things, which does not mean consent, and said she needed her glute massage, which could be flirty, could not be flirty. It is a muscle. The glute is a muscle. He told her he was coming over, and she responded to him by telling him, no, don't come over. But he came over anyways, drunk, mind you. He drank and drive. Mind you, they're doing all this work to protect a drunk driver. Mind you, that's what's happening. They are so focused on discrediting this woman that they're ignoring the fact that he was literally a drunk driver who came over to a woman's house after she said, don't come over. Okay?
But he came over quickly to her home with the door unlocked, and he let himself in. And then Ryan Grimm says, whether this detail is important to you or not, it is a shocking breach of journalistic ethics by...
It is not. It's unnecessary. It does not matter. It does not add to the story. All it does is give you guys fuel to doubt her story, even though you're doing it anyways. That's all this is. It is literally meaningless to anybody who knows anything about rape. It doesn't matter. She could have deliberately invited him over and it still would have been rape, because she had every right to withdraw consent at any point. He came over drunk. So if she had invited him over thinking he was sober and he showed up drunk, she would have been allowed to revoke consent. This is not, they're not trying to hide something. Keeping this out is not trying to hide something. But the fact that a quote liberal or quote leftist is trying to move, this is what I'm saying. You might as well be a conservative. You might as well literally be a conservative. You might as well be pro-Trump. You might as well have an R next to your name, bro, with the way you guys are treating these victims.
Politico and CNN not to include it in their coverage. And I agree with him. That detail might not change your mind about however you feel about this story or this alleged incident. But it is not up to Politico to decide whether or not we have the full story or the full context. We deserve the full context, including what she had texted him prior to his decision to show up to her house.
Yeah, no, it's not close. So she says, hey, I need a glute massage. And they're going out at the time. So I need you to massage my butt. He comes over, and then this event happens.
No. See, he's already retelling the story wrong. He's already telling the story incorrect. She told him not to come over and got ready to go to bed. He's telling the story wrong right here to discredit her story. That's the problem. Okay? And yes, chat says that Ana Kasparian had a huge change in her political position as a result of SA, and here she is engaging in rape apologia, which when that happened, we were very empathetic to Ana. I said here on this channel, and I continue to stand by that, any sexual assault of any kind is wrong, and all victims of sexual assault deserve care, and we must go to therapy to deconstruct, because when we have these conversations, we have to make sure that we are understanding what part of it is everyone's always giving the news, their opinions with where they are in their life. And if you're in a really troubled time, you might just need to double check. You can be in middle of it and still have the most passionate, logical, reasonable argument, or you can sometimes be impacted for the negative, but not always. So I never want to say oh, you were just assaulted, so you can't speak. No, it's more hey, I had this horrible thing happen to me. Before I make any drastic changes in my life, let me work on healing. And Ana didn't bother doing that. And all of a sudden she's on Glenn Beck. All of a sudden they're collabing with conservatives. All of a sudden she's making excuses. And I'm sitting here absolutely not. Now, I think, to be honest, It's not because it's because they were never really embodied leftists to begin with. And that's the part of it that I'm trying to say about embodiment. You have to embody it. You actually have to say, oh yeah, this isn't something you can change my mind about. It's like what I say about the economy. You can say you're not racist all you want. You can say you're not homophobic or transphobic all you want. But the moment America gets tense, the moment the economy gets bad, if you start blaming immigrants, gay people, trans people, black people for the reason the economy sucks, you were always racist. You just never had to actually be confronted with your racism. You know, everyone thinks they're a good person until they're tempted. And I'm saying the true test of your character is what you do when things are hard. And that's why we can feel so like, oh, I can't believe I made the wrong decision in that moment. That's why we have to learn. We won't always make the right decision. You will make a lot of wrong decisions, but you must, in order to be a better person, say it. Say it with your full chest. I cannot believe that, I can believe, but here we are in 2026, and this is where everybody is. Again, it goes back to this idea that I think a lot of the people in my community, we always sit here and we're always talking about feeling like we're not, we're always deconstructing. We're sometimes always feeling behind. And here we are watching people, I feel like, who have all the resources and all of the access, and they're not doing any of the work. And it's kind of crazy, right? Chet says they're not liberal. They don't care about autonomy or consent. No. So the other day, let me pull out my chart again. Somebody said, can we stop making consent political? I'm talking about cultural bubble, guys. Liberal consent includes a lot of rape. You just don't know it yet, right? That's what I'm saying. You don't know it yet. So conservatives, they don't believe in consent. Right? Because they say you deserve to be raped based off of what you're wearing, where you are, if you're married. Okay, liberals, this is a cultural, politics is cultural, y'all. So if you are culturally liberal is Sam fucking Harris. Culturally liberal is Richard Dawkins. Culturally liberal are those men who cornered, or that man who cornered Rebecca Watson in the elevator, asking her if she could have coffee in his hotel or her hotel room. Liberal men, culturally speaking, are always putting women in uncomfortable positions to solicit sex from them. I was on a date with a man I didn't even know was a date because he never explicitly said it was a date. I thought we were going out for a coworker lunch, and halfway through the lunch, he was like, oh my God, this date's going so well. And I was like, are we on a date? He was like, yeah. And I was like, I thought you said you wanted to talk about philosophy. I thought we were on a philosophy work hangout. He was like, no. And I was like, oh. And I was like, I don't want to go on a date with you. And he was like, oh. And I was like, oh. And we sat there and I was like, oh, I don't know what's happening. I thought we were just meeting up. I didn't know. I didn't even. So again, because nobody ever explicitly said, I'd love to go on a date with you. Okay, so that's liberals. Liberal go, but we went out for lunch. It's a date. And I'm saying, what? Conservatives go, oh, you went out for a man. You went out with a man, or you said one flirty text to a man. You know what I mean? Invitation. Informed consent is, hey, I noticed you said your booty needs massaging, your glute. Just to be clear, are you inviting me over for sex, or are you just sharing? Oh, I'm just sharing, or I'm just having a flirty moment, or, oh yeah, no, I just, it's flirty, but don't come over. Which she, by the way, did. When he said, I'm coming over, she said, no, don't actually come over. And he did it anyways. So then her consent wasn't considered in his action. And you can say it's because he was drunk, so he drove drunk. I'm saying, liberalism isn't enough, because even politically, it keeps you in this bucket of girl bossing, capitalism. America is a great country. It just needs to be reformed. Liberals are in this bubble. Conservatives say America's great the way it is, as is the consent relationship with self. Liberals go, oh, it just needs some reform. And leftists are dismantle. Also, somebody in my comment section said, can we keep consent out of politics? No, because they said my country cousins know what consent is. Really ask them if they're pro-choice. Consent isn't just about sex. It's about medical care. Informed consent is also about medical care. Does your doctor tell you all the details? Do you understand all the repercussions of a surgery? Are you understanding all the aftermath of the possibilities? So again, when we talk about consent, I'm not just talking about sex. What about money? What about money? Right? Okay, what about money? What about hey, I took money from your wallet. What? I didn't consent to that. What do you mean you didn't consent to that? I saw somebody who left a comment who said no, you can't say I don't consent to how someone talks to you. Yes, you can. We have social scripts. We literally have social scripts. If somebody says something to you, you can say, hey, don't talk to me like that. And if they keep talking to you like that, there's gonna be a problem. Hopefully it doesn't escalate. But you're absolutely allowed to say, like, please don't talk to me like that. Like, change the way you're talking to me because it's going to cause a problem. And then you two can negotiate, okay, like, how would you like me to speak? Because we need to de-escalate. So when we have these conversations, you know, you can't sit here and say, well, my conservative brothers know, or my conservative cousins know what consent is, and they would never do this. Okay, but do they know what it is when it comes to every other part of your life? Consent is never just about sex or dating, guys.
Now, again,
To be fair,
you could hold on. You could say, hey, you know what? She changed her mind and said, don't come over. You could say he came over and she changed her mind then, and she has every right to change her mind. That's absolutely true. But what is not in dispute is that Politico purposely hid that from you.
What do you mean purposely hid it? For what intentions? To say they purposely hid it would say they had what? Malicious intention? They didn't think it mattered? It wasn't important? They knew you would run with it and victim blame? What? You act like every story isn't a story where we tell it in a particular way. Like, what do you think they're doing here?
To make Plattner look more guilty. They did that on purpose. They had the text and they chose not to share that, which is at a bare minimum, obviously relevant to the context of what happened.
Why?
So this is what we've been telling you all along. Look, guys, I've said this a million times, not related to this story, related to every outsider who's ever run on the left or the right, what the press does, and it is driven by people with a ton of money who do not want those people to win. If you think that's conspiratorial, you literally know nothing about politics. It's called Oppo research. Everyone who works in politics knows it. The press never tells you that they get spoon-fed that Oppo research, and that it is almost always from the incredibly wealthy and powerful PACs and lobbies. And it is almost always against outsiders, almost never against insiders. And so in this case, Matt Stoller, which we'll get back to in a second, listed the top donors for the main Democrats, and it is filled with people who are in favor of corporate PACs and especially, of course, AIPAC. But Politico doesn't tell you that either. They don't tell you where they got the Oppo research. They don't tell you why they're hiding critical facts about the case. And neither did any of the other outlets that have.
They're still running with this conspiracy theory that the rapes didn't happen because of Politico, or not Politico, well, because of Politico and their connection to AIPAC or whatever. Like, Graham stepped down, right? He didn't step down a month ago when a Republican came out with it, but he stepped down with this story. I don't know what we want here. Like, why are you working so hard to defend Graham Plattner after everything he did as well recently? Like, I don't understand this except to say patriarchy and, of course, rape apologia. This is what this is. And I know it's hard for people to process because it's like, it's not how we're taught to think about things. He's trying to make it political, like a conspiracy theory. But the truth is, it's just how we socialize. That ultimately, regardless of how these women might be used by politics and by politicians or by, whoever he's so worried about, these women had something happen to them. That's all most of us care about. Do you know what I'm saying? I think that's the problem that I'm having with this whole conversation is like, so did this happen to them? Are these women credible? Did Graham admit with his own mouth what he's done to partners, said he was a bad boyfriend? You know, then everything else for me just doesn't matter because that's just politics. Politics is an evil place where good people go to die. Don't I say that all the time? Politics is an evil fucking place. Because look at what you're all doing for the sake of winning. You're compromising all of your values. How easy you sway when you're so desperate to win. And this is why I say America, respectfully, no one deserves pain and suffering, but America deserves Trump because it is exactly a reflection of who we are as a country. And I'm sick of Democrats saying, oh, America isn't this. America's so much better than this. Oh, really? Then make it make sense. Because if America was so much better than this, then why was he elected and why did people vote for him 3 times? Like, why were we pretending that America is better than what it is? So I'm not saying America or any of the people in America deserve the suffering because there's a lot of marginalized people in America. I'm saying you're acting like America as a person isn't Logan Paul. You're acting like, generally speaking, right now, a majority of the people in that country are more than willing to throw trans people under the bus, people of color under the bus, marginalized people under the bus, women under the bus. And I'm saying this is why you have to protect your communities. This is why you know, if you can't move out of the United States, and I'm not saying you should even just think about moving somewhere more liberal or with community members who are more like you, because certainly that would be one step closer to building community with people. But if you even can't do that, join online communities that are going to be safer spaces for you. Because ultimately, whether we like it or not, and whether or not they want to pretend otherwise, this type of rhetoric coming from, quote, the left, liberals, whoever, is exactly why we are so stagnant as a world. This is why I say you have to this is why I do philosophy through pop culture, girlies, because I was in these bubbles, listening to these people talking to me all the time. And I sat there and I said, this cannot be the best we have. If this is the ceiling, I don't want to be here. I need to outgrow this bullshit. You need to liberate your spirit from this bubble, from these worlds, in order to then come back and help. Okay? Because you can't live in a world where people are doing everything they can to discredit these women without understanding how many of us have been hurt, how many of us have been violated. I just, you know, when I was younger, I just wanted, as a queer kid, as an autistic kid, just as a person who was like very free and wanted to be so free, I just wanted the freedom to flirt with people without it going anywhere. That idea is so mind-boggling, like boggling to people. They can't even imagine it. They're just like, they're like flirting without sex, wearing a bikini without asking for it. They can't handle it. Then eventually I found a community of people that understood it. They understood what I wanted. And we would flirt and have fun and engage. Consensual, never had to have sex, was always lovely, always checking in. And it was the most freeing moment of my life. I'm not saying you need to go find that. I'm not saying it's important. I'm saying it exists. In the same way that nude bike parades exist, in the same way that people exist in polyamory and they're happy, the same way that people are living perfectly happy lives as gay people, the same way that the world will tell you you'll never be happy being alternative, plenty of people are living their best lives because they're not trying to engage with these people or continually trying to force them to humanize them. I'm saying, stop trying to get these people to humanize you. They never will. And start advocating in different ways for your right to exist. Because really, the fact is that whether TYT admits it or not, they are putting these rape victims in a position to have to justify their humanity. Because that's what they're doing right now, all in the name of politics.
Attacked and attacked and attacked and attacked. And so why did they call every girlfriend Graham Plattner has ever had? That was the New York Times. But they called every girlfriend Adam Schiff has ever had? Or Marco Rubio or Ted Cruz? No. Those are good boys and girls. They serve the powerful. They serve the donor class. So they are not to be touched. But if you got someone who will not serve the donor class, then the objective reporters go and try to destroy them on behalf of the rich and powerful. And as you can see from the Politico piece, they don't mind lying to you. They don't mind shredding their so-called journalistic practices, which amazingly, Mika Brzezinski did a great job of explaining when the Politico reporter was on.
Boo, I'm forwarding it.
Sorry. Yeah, I don't find these allegations credible. Sorry. Yeah, I don't find these allegations credible. Sorry. Forcible rape is something that you would want to either fight or flee from. And just the way she tells the story.
This is why for like 8 years, I didn't tell anybody. Because it was violent, but not the kind that would get people to notice. It was violent, but not in a way that I could run away. It was violent in a way that I froze. This is such a conservative talking point. I cannot believe Anna is speaking about it like this, except to say that she has completely lost any chance she had at really focusing on how nuanced these situations are and how you are a biological person on a planet, an animal on a planet. You're having, it's such a scary moment to think that somebody you trust, somebody you know, or somebody that, in Jenny's position, somebody she knew, right? Somebody she was intimate with, violated that safety, the sanctity of the safety they had between each other. He violated it. You would think Anna would think, wow, this is even worse. Could you imagine it was somebody you loved, somebody you trusted, somebody you were friends with, somebody that you genuinely liked being around, only for them to turn around and do this to you, And so for Anna to sit here, and this is exactly the kind of conservative rhetoric I grew up with my whole life, with my family, with my friends, like not my friends, but the conservative kids around me. But this is what I heard my whole life. Is like, oh, well, if it was a violent rape, this. If it was, this is why I say, if you get in a fight as a man and you lose, they buy you a beer. But if you lose a fight to a rapist, you don't get the beer, especially not if you don't have broken bones or you're dead. Somebody in chat said the other day, the only perfect victim they'll see is a dead one.
How do you stay in your house after the man who forcibly raped you falls asleep? Wouldn't you want to flee your home?
Why do women who are married to their husbands stay married to them after serial abuse and rape? Why do children raped by their grandparents never tell anybody? Because it's complicated and layered. This is also why the rhetoric of like, oh, I'd kill a rapist if I saw one. No, you wouldn't. Because you're going to have to realize most of the people you know have done some pretty shitty things to people and some variation of sexual assault. And even when I get comments that are like, oh, I would kill a child rapist. Oh, yeah? Are you sure about that? Because that's going to be a lot of different people. Including, I heard that if you can give examples like men who are 21 dating 15-year-olds. Oh, yeah, you're going to kill all those men who are 21 dating 15-year-olds? That's a lot of dudes. A lot of dudes out here. Did you see that whole Kobe Bryant deep dive by that TikToker who found out he was dating Vanessa when she was in high school and even had to get her to homeschool so he could keep dating her? Okay. Cody Ko was with Tana Mojo. You're gonna kill Cody Ko? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not even thinking about what you're saying. And I'm not even advocating for violence, but I'm saying a lot of these guys that you think you know what a child rapist is, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't even understand how many of these men are out here engaging with teenagers. Jerry Seinfeld, he's out. You know what I mean? Jerry Seinfeld, he's out. You're just gonna go around. So again, when we have these conversations, what are we talking about? Now people say, oh, that's not rape though. They're teenagers, they're adults. Oh, so they are adults now. So now they're grown-ups. And that's always the question is like, okay, who is what and what is who and where is the line in the sand? It's much more complicated. So let's bring ourselves down to a grounded perspective. We're raising children badly who become adults with no morals. And then as adults, we deny how we missed raising our kids. Society enforces in our children rape culture. And then Anna Kasparian comes on TYT and enforces that rape apologia. She is absolutely participating in exactly the excuses all of these men in power, including Donald fucking Trump, use to take advantage of women. Does she think Donald Trump is a rapist? How is Donald Trump's victims any less credible or more credible than Jenny? They have the same fucking stories. It's the same stories. How could she sit here? Does she think Donald Trump didn't rape anybody? That's what I'm saying. For her to say like this is incredible. What do you mean? What does that even mean? So again, I know it's complicated. I know we have family structures that are complicated. Like, I know we have a lot of like passion and anger and upsetness, but I have to tell you this. Threatening to kill a pedophile isn't actually going to help anybody, since children have reported not telling anybody about their molestations because they didn't want you to kill their grandpas. So you need to be very careful about how you talk about this around your kids. Bragging that you're going to kill their rapist isn't helpful if their rapist is grandpa. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay? So we need to think about this. Chat says, why can't they go to prison? Why shoot them? No prisons. Abolish prisons. Centers, facilities, rehabilitation centers. Rehabilitation for a rapist sometimes looks like never getting out. That's the point. Not punishment, rehabilitation, even if that includes never being put into the public again. It's a very adults in the room conversation. It's very hard for people to process. Most of us love the people in our life, including the rapists in our life. Most of us love the pedophiles in our life. You just don't know it yet because you've never had unconditional love for somebody who turned out to be something different than you thought. But I'm sure you would not want to see that person tortured, assuming you're healed. No offense. Because genuinely, you have to think about this pretty deep, but you would want them to be held accountable. Graham Planner needs to be held accountable. Graham Planner needs to be held accountable. And remind you, like, people asked me the other day, like, how do we take accountability, or how do we do, what did they ask me in chat? They asked me, what is like accountability look like for a rapist? It depends on the rape and it depends on the situation, but it often does not look like you coming back into society in the way that you left it. Like, that's what people have to understand. You know, like you time and time again have shown a disregard for people's safety a pattern of abuse, entitlement, neglect, especially if you're a rapist who, you know, because Anna's using this argumentation, guys. Don't get lost in the convo. Let me know if you have questions. Anna's saying rape is violent, right? So that's what people are doing. Guys, most rape is not violent. Most rape is not violent in the way the movies show. They're not going to rip your hair out and give you a black eye, and that does happen. But most of us who were raped looked perfectly normal the next day. And I'm saying, if you live your life thinking all rapists are like monsters in a bush waiting to attack you, instead of recognizing most rapists are guys you're dating or people in your family, you're going to have to completely get away with the framework you were given and start with a new one. And Anne is using the old framework. That's what I'm trying to say. Anne is using an old framework that doesn't exist anymore. Bad people aren't monsters. They're humans who are making different moral decisions than you. That's the problem. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's what I want you guys to process. Do you guys have any questions? I feel like I kind of went all over the page because I was thinking about all the different people who could be listening to this and I didn't want to confuse people. But rapists aren't monsters. They're people with no boundaries. They're people who are entitled. They're people you know.
And I know. Anna, you don't know how you would react if it happened to you. I would get the F out of there.
You actually would know how you would react. You were assaulted once, and you were.
You don't react in the same way every time. So just this idea of like you would, like, I don't know how I would react. I would get out of there. This is the old framework of rape apologia. She's engaging in it.
Furious about it, right? And would you have invited that guy over for a cup of tea? No. Okay, so anyways, look, but.
Yeah. This is what I'm saying. If everybody knew what was happening in our families and our backgrounds, if you have a large family, especially girls, like when you grow up and really realize like how everybody is, you realize like, there is a lot going on in our families that nobody talks about. And they are creating a circumstance that doesn't allow victims to come forward. And people always say, why doesn't nobody speak up? Because of Anna Kasparian. Because of all these people, because of this rhetoric, because of this framework.
This is super important, guys. We don't need to judge the women involved.
But you are.
That's their personal.
You are judging them. You just did it. I don't think these women are credible. If I was her, I would have done this. You are judging them. You are judging them. How dare you? This is why I say open with boundaries, because if he was my uncle, we would not be talking. Okay, if this man was my uncle, if Jake was my uncle, we would not be talking. Because no way did you just use your platform and your microphone for rape apologia, my bro.
Lives, and they have different interpretations. I don't begrudge them anything, okay? I care about how does the.
Fire Anna Kasparian for what she just said. If Anna Kasparian was working on my team, she would be fired for what she just said. How dare you engage in rape apologia right here, right now, when this is so fucking serious? Fired.
Media treat the different candidates. And are they being honest with you guys, or are they purposely targeting people and trying to destroy them? And that's why they dig and dig and dig, and the other guys get a free pass. What have they uncovered about Susan Collins? Nothing. Right? Why? Because no one's trying to uncover anything about Susan Collins. They're not targeting her. They only target one side. And by the way, if he's replaced by a corporate Democrat, which is what we'll move on to next.
I promise you, in the next coming weeks, I would not be surprised if these fucking losers started to interview Graham Planner. Graham, what happened when you were there? Did you think she wanted you to come over? Did you make a wee bit of a mistake? Did you get in the car drunk? Did you drive drunk? You're such a good boy. How'd you get there all by yourself? Look at you. Drunk, and you drove all the way there without crashing into a tree? You're such a good boy, Graham Plattner. That's what's going to happen. Okay, Ryan Graham and TYT, they're going to eventually have him on, and they're going to do cute little PR, interviews. It's going to be disgusting.
They won't target that person either. They only target outsiders who will not serve power.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get to some more details. So Plattner maintains that the allegations are false. He says that he's totally innocent and that there was no non-consensual sexual activity. Now, he had won a decisive victory earlier with the primary against Collins. So Plattner, who had won that primary, has asked for assurances from the Democratic Party that they will. I mean, who cares? At this point, who cares? We're not going to win anything electorally. We're just not. We're not. And the very progressives, the very leftists who claim that they want real change in this country immediately run away at the first sign of controversy. So it makes.
I love how Graham Plattner, who is exactly what America wants, exactly what fascist, white supremacist, capitalistic America wants, is the change that she thinks we want.
Make a decision.
Like, really, girl?
Is this like a cute little like cosplay thing that we're doing, or do you actually want change? Okay, so if you're, by the way, I didn't even really like Plattner all that much as a candidate, to be honest with you, to be fair. So I was.
And yet you're defending an alleged rapist, an alleged abuser, when his victims have come forward with absolute zero hesitation, have decided these opinions aren't credible because they didn't react the way you would react to a rape. Like, Ana Kasparian is the arbiter of how people should react when raped. What an obnoxious, egotistical thing to say out loud. And yet, ready? We're trained to do it because of patriarchy. Do you know that? This is a tactic of patriarchy to convince women, you would have fought, right? You wouldn't have just sat there silent, right? Oh, these women who aren't even fighting, I'm going to teach my daughters to fight a rapist. And then when you don't, and when you freeze, your father will blame you. I thought I taught you better. What were you doing there? Didn't I always warn you not to go to those spaces? Your brothers will look at you and say, man, you've never even had a hard thing happen to you once in your life, bro. Oh, what? You went to a party and some shit happened? Boo-hoo. This is what Ana Kasparian is doing. She's upholding this patriarchal idea that the only kind of rape victim worth protecting is one that fights back to the point of either dying in the process or coming home with obvious evidence of a rape that we've decided, society has decided, is good enough to then believe them. That's why.
One of his vociferous defenders, but I don't like the fact that we're normalizing just making forcible rape allegations against someone to destroy their political candidacy. And then what happens next? I mean, this wasn't adjudicated in a court of law. He was never found guilty of doing anything wrong. So, but it doesn't matter because how this plays out, whether he did it or didn't do it, he looks guilty, and this will follow him around forever for the rest of his life.
So now she's making the false accusations argument that men are falsely accused and it ruins their reputation. Honey, his reputation was ruined out his own mouth. His reputation was already in the gutter. That's what I'm saying. His reputation already sucked for everything he had bragged about doing prior to this. This is what I'm saying. Did he not admit to cheating on his wife? Did he not admit to being a guard at Abu Ghraib? Did he not admit to working in Blackwater? Did he not admit to doing all these things? What else do you want? Like, what else do you want? Okay?
When he hasn't even seen a single day in court. How is that okay?
Yeah.
How is that okay?
So to be clear, all the women that came forward about Trump, guys, dozens and dozens of women have come out about Trump. I don't know if you know this because I feel like none of the victims ever get highlighted. Dozens of women have come out about Trump. They're never going to see their day in court. I believe them. They're never going to see their day in court. This is literally every conservative talking point. Like at this point, this is why we say liberals might as well be conservatives. This is why I say, guys, being a liberal is not enough. With peace and love, if you identify as a liberal, you're basically a conservative. I know you're not ready for it because you grew up in a world where a conservative is a very specific thing. The liberals, the Democrats, are just conservatives with better branding, barely. Okay, I promise you, there is no point moving into 2026 to stay a liberal. Okay? You've got to keep going. You've got to keep going. Liberalism is conservatism. Guys, again, as the world progresses, so too must your politic. As the world progresses, so too must your language. As the world progresses, what was progressive 30 years ago is not progressive anymore. It's not. You're not in the future if your politic reflects 30 years ago rhetoric. Okay, you've got to keep moving forward. You have got to keep moving forward. Otherwise, you will stay conservative. You will become conservative. This is why when people grow up, right, you become stagnant. This is why old people become stagnant in their ways. They're not keeping up with what young people are doing. They're not learning the new lingo. They're not reading up. They're not educating themselves. And then all of a sudden, you become a Gen Xer who thinks racism is over because Gen X solved it. If you guys saw my commentary video, you know what I'm talking about. Imagine being a Gen Xer that thinks you ended racism. You single-handedly ended racism on a whole global planet that's racist? Okay, girl.
And so, and by the way, there's extra layers to it. So he does that 11-minute video where he basically withdraws from the race. I'll get to the nuance in a second. And everyone in media all over cable news is like, not good enough. He should have confessed. Well, he says he didn't do it. No, he should say that he did it. But he thinks he didn't do it. No, he should say what we want, and he should just punch himself in the face, and he should confess to things that we've accused him of. Well, what is it? And then, of course, they went to, now smear everyone who supported him. That's it. They're all guilty. No, we're not gonna do any of that. Now, let's find out who is guilty. I wanna go to forward to.
Okay, we don't care about any of this. This is rape apologia, but let's look at the comments because you guys are bringing it up, okay? Let's see, their chat says, so let's move on and find a capable woman candidate who's a progressive. I'm sure there are many. Plattner knew what he had been. Hold on, let me just go to the top comments. Let's go top comments. Anyone who fight for working people is destroyed. Yes, even a person with strong character, morals, and ethics only has a rare chance. That's why daily resistance is needed. Who are you guys talking about? I did not consent for Politico to leave out important details. I feel violated. Wow, see, this is a joke. This is a rape joke. That's what that is. A glute massage. The Politico reporter was clearly lying when he said he had no access to the comms to Plattner. Politico is conceptually careless. Thank you for considering the innocent. Thank you for considering the innocence is a good defense, even for accusations for terrible crimes. What? If Graham Plattner broke down crying, denied everything, and declared his love for beer, Susan Collins would have voted for him? Oh, his love for beer? What? What are these comments? Are these real comments? Is this what TYT's audience is? Fucking, this is so stupid. This is the most super, are these old, like 12-year-olds? What? We will never have to be able to, we will never be able to have outsiders enter our politics and make desperately needed changes as long as we keep accepting claims with no requirement for evidence. Political outsider, but it's literally a guy who brags about serving as a guard at a U.S. military concentration camp. Amen. Plattner is a millennial and shares the values of his generation. Influence grows. This is frightening an even more elderly establishment. I hope he finds a way to clear his name. Is TYT's like audience kind of like 6th grade education level? What's happening? No judgment. You know what? That's not their fault. It's a privilege to have a higher education. You know what? I take that back. But it's giving. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's insane. That's just insane to me, but that's what it is, okay? That's what I want to pay attention to here is if you do not keep deconstructing, you will become Anna Kasparian. And I hope that terrifies you. I hope that really, really terrifies you. And this is why this next segment here is so important because it plays right into this. So this next segment is about building bridges with bigots. And this is why I say it's very important that you do not fall for this narrative that we've been fed through American propaganda our whole life, that if we're just nice to KKK members, maybe they won't kill us. Okay? So I got this comment on my Brett Patagonia video, right? Brett Cooper video. And this person said, you are the problem. People like you are the reason people can't get along. The right is willing to talk with you, but you're not willing to talk with them. You are the bigot here. And then this person says, this is, okay, hold on, let me move this is not about collaborating with bigots. It's about finding common ground and finding the sense of humanity in someone you would consider your enemy. A bigoted person being made to interact with someone they are bigoted to is the first step of opening their mind and changing their attitude. Look at Daryl Davies, for example. His meetup with KKK leaders and getting them to socialize with people of different races and simply talking about different topics relating to their interests as well as race led to hundreds of KKK members leaving and opening their minds, no longer being racist and bigoted. Not everybody can do what Daryl did. It takes a lot of courage and strength to speak to your oppressor face to face. I hope this interaction changes Brett. I hope she opens up her mind and drops her bigotry. And I hope she learns to stop being a grifter and be more nuanced on her channel and be more respectful to those who stand opposite side of her. United by Nature is a very promising channel, and the idea behind it is amazing. That's the channel they did their collab on. There was a time where protecting the environment was common sense. Oh, that is fucking not true. This is literally so fucking not true. Name one fucking time in fucking American history that was ever fucking true. That was never fucking true. That was never fucking true. Is what I'm saying. Do you guys not grow up watching political documentaries? That is not true. When was it ever fucking common sense? When was the environment not always made fun of by Republicans? Did the White House deliberately fuck people over when it came to solar panels and environmental like green policy? Don't play stupid with me. It was a shared value and something that all Americans are united by. But now, in this toxic and divisive and tribalistic political climate, thanks to social media, it's become politically divisive topic, which is wrong. What I love the most about Brett and Patty's videos that they shared a common connection with nature, but in different ways. And Brett is actually a lot more willing to criticize capitalism. This channel is already starting to prove itself. Brett Cooper said, I love capitalism that works, not capitalism that's for corporations. And also shout out to Amazon. She didn't criticize capitalism at all. She didn't criticize capitalism, not one bit. Okay, so this is what I'm saying. This romanticization of building bridges with bigots. I used to believe in this. We also used to be taught not only should we build bridges with bigots about being gay or black or trans, we were told to do it with people we dated. This all is connected, girlies, to the fact that people are told to do this when we're dating people. Oh, you're just judging him so quickly. He grew up with a rough childhood. You should be kinder to him. Understand where he's coming from. You know, if you're a good woman, it will change him. Okay. Please, right? Now, this is Daryl Davies, because I want you to hear from him. This man is romanticized beyond unnecessary. Yes, a couple hundred KKK people left. But this is not the story you want to send to your children. I mean, we're running into stories where black kids are hanging out with white kids who are not even, quote, KKK, and they're dying. Okay? Black women are hanging out with white friends and they're dying singularly. So let alone telling your black children, your brown children, your gay children, your trans children, put yourself deliberately in harm's way in hopes to be that person. And I think Gideon tried to do that stuff. And a lot of like black in real life streamers try to do that stuff. It's good views. It makes white people feel comfortable, but it always comes at the expense of black people, trans people, gay people. Don't do this, guys. Don't do this to yourselves, you know? But here we are. So here's a little video.
Those who will not look beyond the picture of me shaking hands with a Klansman in a robe and hood. And of course, they'll have that visceral reaction like, what the hell is going on here?
It is something we never see. A black man attending KKK rallies where crosses are burning and racist views are being spewed.
Some of their beliefs are that African Americans, black people, are born with smaller brains, that we are inherently lazy, we are inherently prone to crime, raping people, especially white women.
Despite that offensive ideology, Daryl Davis has spent decades befriending members of the Ku Klux Klan.
How do you talk to someone when someone's calling you the N-word?
Because you take the higher road. You know who you are.
There is one question Daryl has repeatedly asked members of the Klan.
How can you hate me when you don't even know me? They've never had.
Whoa! Oh my God! Whoa! Like, no offense, respectfully. You know, that's the shit you hear when you're in middle school and you're like, D, bro, my new Instagram quote. You know what I mean? Like, be so serious. Like, the world is in such a dangerous place right now, and you're sitting here, like, feeding this to children, feeding this to adults. Like, I'm just gonna ask a Nazi, man. Why do you hate me, bro? You don't even know me, bro. It's like, please.
An answer that they can come up with that justifies how they can hate me.
His conversations with Klansmen resulted in something Daryl never expected.
I would find things in common. And as I began to build on those.
Okay, you're gonna feel I'm so stupid, but are you ready for this? I used to. You guys were there for it. I'll embarrass myself. You guys were there for it. You saw the last time I tried to buy into this belief system, and it was with Destiny and Sneeko and ABBA. That was the last time when I was in that debate bubble. That was the last time I let go of any learned propaganda from this era of thinking, because I used to buy into it even as late as 4 years ago, because I was like, yeah, if I just use the right language and I communicate in the right way, my autistic brain is convinced you will change your mind. And I'm like, well, you're a liberal, right? Like you're more of a on the fence. I mean, Sneeko was modeling at the time. He was in an open relationship at the time, right? He was wearing makeup and corsets, and I was like, okay, this Sneeko for sure. ABBA was really weird and D&D and very open-minded, and I was like, okay. Destiny was non-binary with blue hair, and everybody was being very, and I was like, okay, these guys, they could change, okay? They were liberals. They were basically what liberals think they are until Sneeko went more conservative, right? And Destiny stayed a Democrat and a Zionist, and then ABBA stayed in his little lane. But this is what I'm saying. when you meet guys who are like, yeah, I'm cool with gay people, I'm cool with trans people, like I'm cool in general, I got my issues, I don't like them in sports, like I'm cool with this, I'm cool with this. And then you start going in a different direction. Like, this is what I'm saying. It's like this idea of like, oh, you see something in them. You're like, oh, you're open-minded just a little bit, go all the way. But they're not. Just like Anna Kasparian, you're like, oh yeah, you're a liberal. And then Anna is giving you conservative talking points and you're like, what's happening? Is she rape apologia right now in my face? This is what I'm saying. Like, I'm saying that there is this narrative we're all brought up to believe. Now, listen to me when I say this. I do believe that truly, if you want to deconstruct and learn, I will build a bridge with you. If you are truly, honestly trying to change, I will see you do it. You will do the work in the same way you see it from me when you say, Brittany, I'm trying to tell you something. And I go, I don't see it. And then months later, I come back, I go, you guys were right. I see it now. I read a book. Or, oh, I see it. I read a thing. Oh, you will see the change. I see the change in you. I never saw the change in these boys. It never happened. And that's what I'm saying. I promise you, if you're working to change, I will see it within months. Taylor Lorenz, we made the video. We didn't see her change. Well, you know, she hasn't changed. You know what I'm saying? People get stuck. Anna Kasparian, she's had years to make a different decision. She hasn't done it. And that's what I'm saying. Yes, real change happens with people who want to change. It cannot happen with people who pretend they want to change. And so you're wasting all of these resources and all of this time, and then you get blamed. You're the reason they didn't change. You're so stupid for thinking they would change. It's your fault. This is the same thing about blaming the victims instead of the people who they're trying to change. And I'm saying, stop telling people they can change bad people until bad people want to change. Okay, this is why therapy doesn't work for some of you, because you're going into this therapy office not wanting to change.
Commonalities, the things that we had in contrast as trivial as skin color began to matter less and less. And as I built upon those commonalities, a relationship was formed.
In the last 30 years, Daryl says 200 members across the country have left the KKK as a direct result of his involvement.
He was very vicious, very violent, and very racist. But at the very end, he said that he respected me.
Many of those who've left have given.
This is the thing. So this goes back to the commenter who's like, the right wants to talk to you. You know, people will say that. Oh, Brittany, I really respect you, though. No, you don't, because you vote against my rights. You vote against who I am. You don't stand up for me. Like, so what? You say, you respect me. You know what I mean? Like, so? And? You know, what does that mean?
Daryl their robes and hoods. He keeps them in his home. It's a journey that is documented in the film Accidental Courtesy.
I consider Frank to be my friend.
I consider Daryl to be my friend as well.
What do you think about the current tension in America?
The culture of racism existed long before Donald Trump, long before President Obama,
of course,
long before Bush or Clinton or whoever. We, American citizens, are to blame for fostering that culture of racism. Talking about race in this country has been taboo for a very long time. People don't want to talk about it.
Daryl believes the only way to end racism is to confront it head on.
Progress is made when you give somebody a platform where they can express their views, even if you don't agree with them.
It's not. We've done it time and time again. It actually doesn't work, because otherwise, like, all these people would be changing. 200 Klansmen in the span of a lifetime is amazing individually, but it doesn't do anything systematically. So, like, I hear you, but what you're arguing is give them a platform to spread their hate and ideology, which is why it's so rampant right now, because they all have platforms. Like, I hear what you're saying community-wise. I don't get what you're saying work-wise. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, do this in your personal life, but why are you giving them a platform on the internet? Why am I giving them a microphone in public?
When two enemies are talking, they're not fighting. They're talking. It's when the talk.
Yes, but we have to keep. Okay. Did I just lose internet? No, I'm back. Hold on. Pausing. All right. I think I'm here again. Back? Okay, I'm back. Great. Okay, good. Right at the start of the video. Perfect. Okay, let's go back. Let's watch this video. Hopefully it's good. Can you change a racist? Great question. Can you change a racist? No, but a racist can change. That's what I believe. That's my philosophical practice. That's the idea that you could only change yourself. You can't change other people. I believe this. I don't think you can change people. They have to want to change themselves. So no, you can't change a racist, but they can change themselves 100%.
And I was very depressed. I contemplated suicide. And then I, of course, met Daryl. He saved my life.
That's Scott Shepard. He was a leader in the Ku Klux Klan in Mississippi. And this is Jeff Scoop, who was the head of what was, at the time, the country's largest neo-Nazi organization.
I should have explained a little more about Daryl. One of the things he does is he reaches out and he de-radicalizes people. So he has personally, by himself, de-radicalized about 200 Klansmen.
This is Daryl Davis. He's the man they're talking about. Daryl became obsessed with understanding racism after he was targeted as a kid for being black. He had a major question he needed answered.
How can you hate me when you don't even know me?
Okay, pause. Very deep, my bro. Chet said, when two enemies are talking, they're not fighting, they're talking. Okay, that's a Daryl quote. Is not truly embodying the language can be a form of violence. Absolutely. This is what I'm saying. Like, language is a form of violence. It can be absolutely used as a form of violence. And sitting across from someone that you have to justify your existence to, for simply existing in your body, having a different skin color, is not a dignified conversation. There's nothing dignified about that.
He's been trying to answer that question ever since. He went to the people he knew hated him the most: members of the Ku Klux Klan, white nationalists, and neo-Nazis.
I had never gone in with the intention of changing anybody or even becoming their friend. You and I have both heard a tiger doesn't change his stripes, a leopard doesn't change his spots. So why would I think that a Klansman would change his robe and hood?
How do we learn to hate? And then, if we do, is it possible to unlearn it? Everyone I talked to said yes. But how? That's the question. I'm Erica Evans, a reporter with the Deseret News. Can we talk? How do you change the mind of a racist? We learned a few things from the way Daryl talks to people with racist views. Racism is nuanced and complex. There's a lot of work to be done to address it, and this is just one man's approach. But Daryl believes in the power of his process to help change the minds of even the most extreme people. And we can all apply these principles when talking to those we disagree with.
Wait, this is Mormon News? I've never seen this channel before. This is Mormon News? Chat saying this is Mormon News. I've never seen this channel before. Shut up. Okay, now we know.
The first thing Daryl does is he starts a conversation. It was spring 1968, and he was in a parade in Massachusetts with his Cub Scout troop.
All of a sudden I was getting hit with bottles and soda pop cans.
Aww.
I thought somebody did not like the Scouts. That's how naive I was. My troop leaders came running over and covered me with their bodies and escorted me quickly out of the danger.
Exactly, chat says Daryl is not the enemy, but the KKK and those who would say, because Daryl did this, now all black and marginalized people need to do this too. So now what it does is it puts the responsibility once again on the marginalized person to be nice to their oppressor, to talk to their oppressor, to educate their oppressor, which is why I don't like the idea that people have to educate each other, though as an educator, that is my job, or as a person who does educational work in this context, yeah, that is my job, but it's my job within my topic, right? So like, that's the thing, at work, I'm here, but in like my personal life, like I'm off the clock. But it is my job to explain my topic of focus to you. If I can, I will direct you somewhere else, right? But I think that's the point, is like now, and this always happens, we know this happens, it's now on us. Which is why we get the blame when it doesn't work, because like, you failed. If only you were nicer to racist people. If only you were nicer to misogynistic men, they would have changed their mind. But it's your fault now. Not their job to introspect, not their job to deconstruct, not their job to do the work. It's your job as the good person to convince the bad person not to be bad.
And nobody else was getting this kind of treatment. So when I got home, my mother and father were not at the march. I told them what happened, and they sat me down, and then...
Hold on. Chet says Gideon never tried to change people's minds. He traveled to the most racist town because a Grand Wizard lived there and showed the rest of the town wasn't racist. Do you not understand the propaganda of what Gideon did, though? Gideon is doing white supremacist propaganda. That's what that is. That's the problem. He went for a sensational idea. He's like, oh, you guys aren't even all that racist. Like, you guys are actually kind of cool. That's white supremacist propaganda, bro. It's saying racists are actually just really nice people, which, by the way, they can be until you get to know them, until shit hits the fan. A lot of people are nice people on the surface, but are they kind, considerate, compassionate, dignified? right? So again,
They explained to me what racism was.
Daryl had grown up overseas for much of his childhood. He'd never experienced any different treatment because of the color of his skin.
My 10-year-old brain could not wrap itself around the idea that somebody would want to hurt me who didn't even know me. So I did not accept their explanation because I could not comprehend it.
But after that experience, the existence of racism became increasingly undeniable for Daryl.
On April the 4th, that same year.
that picture kind of goes hard, bro. This is Jesse Jackson and Martin Luther King.
Martin Luther King was assassinated.
Oh.
And every major city in this country burned to the ground, all in the name of this new word that I had learned, racism.
Daryl grew up to become a talented musician and played all over the world with other artists like Chuck Berry. All the while, he was trying to understand
kind of cool though.
Why racism existed. All kinds of people came to Daryl's shows, including members of the KKK.
The fuck?
Music.
White racists love black music. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that white racists love black music. Everybody knows that.
Allowed Daryl to communicate with these people, and he got an idea.
Who better to ask that question of than to ask somebody who would go so far as to join an organization that practices hating people who don't look like them and who don't believe as they believe?
Some couldn't give him a good answer. Daryl has helped change the minds of more than 200 white supremacists. In fact, more than 50 Klansmen have given him their robes in penance.
I mean, look, there's some part of that that's like dope and everything. I just don't think the overall message needs to be like, everybody needs to do this. Because no offense, I don't want that evil shit in my house. Not that I would be doing this. Sorry. Obviously, I know I'm not black. But I mean to say, take your minority status or marginalized person status and then just think about like, I don't want that stuff in my house. Like that, not good energy. You know what I mean? Absolutely not. Burn it, get rid of it, put it in a landfill. No. Donate it to a museum for history or something. But it's interesting, the idea. I think there's something really that gets to the heart of what people want, which is this idea that we can change, which is true when you want to change. Daryl didn't change the minds of these white supremacists. They happened to be the 200 white supremacists that had an open mind enough to change. That's all that happened, is that Daryl met and intersected with along their life at the same time, at the right time, to help give that extra step. That's all that is. And it's important. It's amazing. It also helps you, the person, let go of the attachment of why can I convince my parents? Why can I convince my friends? Why can I convince my neighborhood? I don't understand how people aren't getting it. People aren't getting it because we're animals on a planet and we're having all different experiences. And we have to, at the time when we're ready, kind of be ready for that change. You can't change until you're ready to change. No matter how many tools people give you, no matter how many resources. Now, do I believe that if a majority of people had more resources than they do have now, would they significantly change? Yes. Because I think a lot of people's change can be predicated on the right resources, right? But they still have to want to do something with it. And that's really hard because it takes a lot of unlearning to also change. Changing requires a lot of unlearning, you know?
Next, Daryl knows if you're going to have a conversation, you have to be willing to listen, even if you disagree. Jeff says that for all of their flaws, members of the National Socialist Movement, or NSM, valued respect. Daryl respected Jeff enough to listen to him. Daryl's willing.
Well, okay, hold on. Chet said, I don't get why this can't be someone's mission in life, especially minority individuals who have to live in the community day in and day out. It can be. It can be your life. But I don't want you to get trapped in this idea that it's going to work and that everyone should do it. It can be your life. Individually, you can make this your mission. I don't care, right? But when we romanticize it, when we push it out, then we get this other chatter who said, I fell for this propaganda. This is why I stood and defended my abusive family for years. I will say, I think I did too in many ways. And I try to have an open with boundaries relationship with my family now, because I spent 30 years plus of my life sort of thinking that if I just hung out with them, if I just showed them how good my life was, if I just communicated with them, they would change. But every time I was leaving their house, I'm in tears. They're making fun of me. I'm like spiraling. And I'm like, what is going on? You don't understand how deeply loved I feel by my family. I feel so deeply loved by my family. And yet, And yet, because we have different ideas about the world, you have to understand that love isn't enough. It's not enough for you to get married to a person. It's not enough for you to talk to your parents every day. The love is real. The relationship is predicated on circumstance, but the love is unconditional. And when we think love is unconditional, we say, if you unconditionally love me, you'll put yourself in this environment 24/7. And I'm saying, I unconditionally love you, but I'm still going to be at a distance. Now, for some people, you don't unconditionally love your family, and so you cut them out, and that's your business. And or you do unconditionally love them, and you still cut them out. That's also your business, and I respect you. The why is different for all of us. What Daryl is saying is, I found a calling. He's going to fulfill this calling. He can find this calling. But the message overall is still going to be internalized, especially by young people, that if I just do what Daryl did, I can change the world, which is not true. It's not true, because Daryl didn't change the world, did he? Martin Luther King didn't change the world. Malcolm X didn't change the world. None of these people ever changed the world. Nobody ever great changed the world, because the world is still the same way. We're still fighting racism. We're still fighting homophobia. We're still fighting a whole bunch of fucking shit we shouldn't have to fight, because the world hasn't changed. It just looks different. So the world in general, civilization, medicine got better, technology got better. People are basically the same. Okay? It's all basically the same, because we're having new babies every day, raised in these environments. They have to deconstruct. Like, this is why I say it is a privilege to be raised in a family that you don't have to think so hard about not talking to them. People say it's so easy. Like, Brittany, just cut them out. Cut yourself out of my life. Okay? Don't tell me when to cut people out, because you have no concept and idea of unconditional love with peace and respectfully. You know what I'm saying? Like, this whole idea of like, oh, just cut people out. Yeah, like casual friends you just met, cut them out, easy. But when you've grown up with somebody, when you've known someone for 30 years, when you've been with them, it's much harder. It's a much different conversation. So there's layers to this, you know? But I think, again, that I just don't want you to think that I can change people. People change themselves.
Willingness to listen is also what attracted another friend, Scott Shepard.
Daryl didn't just reach out.
Also, how many of these people ended up voting for Trump anyways? Because remember, they might not be in the KKK anymore, but maybe now they're just Republicans who voted for Trump anyways. That's my question. Did they all decide to stop becoming Trump voters? You know what I mean? Because we have this romantic idea of like, I'm going to change my parents, they're going to be cool with gay marriage. What if they're cool with gay marriage, but they still vote for Trump? You know how many gay people vote for Trump? Do you know what I'm saying? What if they're like cool with gay people or trans people, but they still are like pro-life? At what point will we be happy with our family and friends? At what point are they good enough for us to say we're done changing them? That's the question. Because you have to understand, like, unlearning all of these things at 60, it's pretty hard, you know?
With a handshake or anything like that, Daryl opened his heart. Daryl sat down with me and we talked several times. We just kind of built a relationship starting.
Hold on. Chat said, I get what you're saying, but this is a bit defeatist. It's a bit defeatist, respectfully. What I'm saying is defeatist? No. What I'm saying is for your safety. What I'm saying is realistic. What I'm saying is like, stay hopeful, but be smart about who you choose. There's 8 billion people on the planet. Do you really got to spend time with the KKK members? 8 billion people that need your help. 8 billion people who need your resources. And you're going to spend time with white supremacists? I mean, you do you, right? But what about all the unhoused people, all the gay and trans youth, autistic people who need housing? But yeah, you do you. You know what I'm saying? Again, you can decide what you're going to do. 8 billion people need your help. You get to pick and choose what community you pay attention to. 8 billion people, probably yourself included. Are you good? Is your retirement good? How's your mental health? You're probably, you know what I mean? We got to also look at ourselves and our family. So again, when we have these conversations, I'm not defeatist. Just if you're talking about me, I am not defeatist. I am telling you, there are so many people who need your help. You get to choose who you help, but you're not obligated to help the white supremacists.
From music, and it's grown into Daryl's not just my friend, Daryl is my brother.
The lesson I think that needs to be learned here is that when you treat somebody else with dignity and respect and trying to understand them and give yourself a chance to hear their story as well, and they'll listen to yours. I mean, it's incredible.
If they listen and if they change, it's only incredible if action follows. Otherwise, you're just talking to each other and you might as well talk to a wall. It's only incredible if they make the connection. It's only incredible if they change. Otherwise, okay.
Also gets to know people up close. He's learned to recognize the humanity even in people who say they hate him.
And I heard him tell the story about when he was a boy in the Cub Scouts and people are throwing rocks at him. And here I'm thinking about my own children at that age. What if they were at a parade and somebody was throwing rocks at them? And it just horrified me. It was like, wow, I never put it into that perspective.
Which is, by the way, why I say the world is not as introspective, extrospective, we're not taught to be. So in some ways, you're like, hey, are you fucking stupid? So you brought a child into the universe without considering all these things. But the truth is, most of you will. 99% of the people on this planet are absolutely not deeply thinking. They can't be, because the world would look different if it was. If we were all deep thinkers from day one, how could the world be this way? If we were all introspective, if we were having deeper relationships with our biological experience, but we can't because we're babies, and babies are, not exactly deep thinkers. And then we're in elementary school, and and then we're in high school, and then we're in college, and all of a sudden we're 30 and we're like, so I'm very empathetic to the fact that, guys, it's very hard to be a considerate person. You've seen me in public go through my own journey. Like, I'm still on that journey. Like, I'm not saying you have to be perfect. I'm saying pick and choose your battles with wisdom to the best of your ability. Meditate on it first. Don't just do the first thing that sounds good. Really think about the consequences and the implication of how you spend your limited time on Earth. Because again, we are animals on a planet, and it's always been this way. You'll be alive for a blip of time, and then you'll die. So choose your time wisely. Be kind, be compassionate, be thoughtful, be giving. And just allow yourself the freedom to put your resources in places that will be truly fulfilling. If this is Daryl's calling, good for him. It doesn't have to be yours. It does not make you a good person to do this for the social credit. I think Daryl is probably just fulfilling a calling. But if you do this oh, look at this amazing thing I did, I'm going to get a video made about me and people are going to think I'm so cool, that's not the right reason to do things. This is why I say I don't believe in this narrative of hey, what are you doing? If you're in your community, if you're working a good job, if you're helping, you're doing enough. That's why I will never ask you to do more. This is insinuating you should do more. And I'm saying don't do more. The world is already doing enough. Do less bad. Do less bad. Stop doing. The road to hell is paved in good intentions, and I'm sick of these good intentions. Because white supremacists think they're filled with good intentions. I want to save my kids. I want to give them an education. The economy sucks. I'm going to help my future generation. I really wish you would do less.
The people who hate you might have learned their behavior from people who hated them. Or maybe their anger comes from hating themselves.
I had to take a cold hard look in the mirror. I found out what the problem was, and the problem was Scott Shepherd. I was the problem.
Here's Dr. Steve Taylor, a psychologist at Leeds Beckett University in England.
Racism is basically a psychological issue. It's rooted in a sense of dissatisfaction. It's rooted in a lack of a sense of identity. You want to project your own self-hatred. You want to project it out of yourself. So you scapegoat other groups.
But Dr. Taylor says that in the end, these instincts won't really satisfy most people's need for belonging.
We are primed to connect. So when you meet people from other races or other ethnic groups, racists are sometimes surprised. They sometimes say, well, they're actually good people. They're no different to me and you. So that in itself brings a kind of conflict. You realize that your racism is based on false principles.
No. Chet says racism is not psychological, it's political, it's about power. Everything you do is psychological, girlies, because it's in your brain. Everything you do is biological, it's in your biology. Everything you do is natural, it's in your nature. Even wanting power is psychological. That's what I'm saying. Power is a psychological, it follows psychological. So I don't know what you guys mean when you say it's not psychological. It literally is. Where's the concept of power even come from? Culture? Psychological input? Sometimes I feel are we not going back to understanding that we are evolved animals on a planet? You don't even have free will. I know you might think you do, but you would have to prove that you even have that. What choices could you have made if you had free will? You don't. You're a victim to. You're limited by. You're born into a body you didn't choose, a brain you didn't choose, an environment you didn't choose. You have to do your best with what you can, with the tools you have, right? Chet says, I think they're misunderstanding the psychological, meaning mental health related. Oh, I mean, it could be mental health related, but no, he means psychological, Like your sense of ego is psychological. Your religion is psychological. Like your relationship with God is psychological. Mental illness doesn't mean you don't have control. It's the way you put together logic. It's like, I think there's like a confusion happening here. But he's not saying that he's saying it's in their head, but everything is in our head. You know what I mean? Like the way you think about everything is literally, that's why I say you can't have an idea outside of your own head. Because everything you understand about the world is in your brain. It's in your head. That's why it's interesting to exist on a planet when you look at other people. All you have is this filter. You can't, that's why I'm saying there is no objective reality in a sense, because how would you have access to it if it all gets filtered through this brain? You know what I mean? Yeah, Chet said the way you perceive the world is psychological. Exactly.
And finally, Daryl knows it's important to be patient. Change doesn't happen overnight. Many people he met took years to turn away from their racist beliefs. Jeff started having doubts about his beliefs a few years before he actually left the neo-Nazi movement and started speaking out against them.
To reach the people that are there, listening is huge. That, for me, was the first seed that was planted.
And even after Scott left the Klan, it took a lot of courage for him not to go back. He struggled with how to transition to life.
Okay, I don't know why I just lost, like, YouTube has been like freaking out the last few days. Like the technology has been bad. The app has been frozen. I feel like her video just downgraded so significantly. Let me pause for a second. Because chat says, hold on, chat, let me get you. You said that I think that definition leaves too much out, like racism is systematic. Okay, this is the problem. This is what I want to talk about. Okay, this is the work that I do. If you're new to my audience, okay? I do philosophy because I think it's the foundational starting point to everything that comes after it, okay? Which is like politics, culture, religion. Philosophy attempts to answer why questions, okay? Systems come out of animals on a planet, us, that form frameworks based off of limited access to information, some human beings who have better information, and people with intentions. And so what you have is like, my Discord and I were discussing the Heritage Foundation guy. He like went to school for African studies. He's like playing 4D chess. Yeah, about how to like oppress minorities. He's learning about Black people to oppress Black people. He's like going and getting a degree or studying in African studies to know what to do. And when you think about that, that's psychological warfare. That is psychological. He is learning so he can oppress. That's what's so interesting about people. That is still a psychological experience. He is seeking power, so he went to go study, and then he's going to go destroy. And when you think about it from that perspective, yes, some people will choose to do this. With their limited time on earth, that's his decision because, like you said, he's seeking power. And then the system is run by these people who are seeking power. This is why I say you're suspicious if you get into politics, because politics is about getting power. So even when good people say we need power, because that's what we need, that's like what you're doing though. You're seeking power. And that's why I think it's interesting how ultimately, as long as we have this hierarchy of power seeking, we will never liberate ourselves from this thing. Yes, catch-22. It is a catch-22, right? We need political power to liberate ourselves, but if we seek power, now we're just the power seekers. This is why I say, this is the biggest realization I had, that nothing I was going to do was going to change the world, because the world can't change. The world is exactly how it's supposed to be. It's like changing the nature of a tree, changing the nature of the winds, changing the nature of a volcano. You act like you have power over it, but if you did, you would stand still right in this moment and discontinue all of the foolery that we have been doing. Stop right now, everybody. But you won't. You're afraid. If I don't go to work, I don't pay my bills, and nobody's going to come and save me. I know. I have to do this because that's how the world is. We have to do it this way because that's how everything else, I know. So, and you're afraid because you can't do it alone. And you're reasonable to be afraid because you certainly would be alone. You would be alone if you did that. So don't do it. Go to work, pay your bills, figure out your retirement, help your family. Because you're right, no one's coming to save you. But nobody was ever going to come save you. And every time you bring a baby into the world, you're bringing it into that world. And too many people are bringing babies into the world that know exactly what world they're bringing babies into. Racist, homophobic, transphobic, horrible economy, possibly World War III. And yet you sit there and you go, why is the world the same way? Because you're doing the same thing everybody else did before you. Nothing you are doing in your life is significantly different. And nothing I'm doing in my life is significantly different. And that's how it goes forever and always. And I'm saying all of us are just animals on a planet. That's my belief. You don't have to agree. But if the world was going to be different, you think we would have done it by now. But here we are having the same discussions for at least as long as I've been alive and longer. Who's in what shows? Who's on our screens? What's the culture war? You know, what is this? Do we have the right to genocide this population? Who should get tortured? Who should get killed? Who should have rights? Thank you to Boobafoos for the super chat. Says, what's even darker is for him to learn all of the pain that was caused and still not feel remorse in his effort to enact his goal. Very Fire Lord, very Fire Nation, honestly. Very Zhao in the library scene where he figures out more ways to destroy other nations. Very Fire Nation, let me tell you. Okay? So when we have these conversations philosophically, a big part of what I'm hoping to give you is a version of radical acceptance that allows you to understand how the world is and then to turn around and try to be a good person anyways, or to be less bad. Like I said, my goal is to try to die a good person, but who knows if it will happen. Versus we live in a world where everybody just takes for granted and goes, of course I'm a good person. Yeah, like in the sense that there's only good dogs and no bad dogs. But even good and bad, yes, are moral judgments, but they're meant to communicate something. They're meant to communicate an idea, you know? So again, like, have compassion for yourself and then recognize why the world is the way that it is because humans are going to human. And that's what it is. You know? Okay, let's finish out this video. Though the like, here, I did it. Okay, let's finish out this video.
Outside the group. Right before he reached out to Daryl, Scott got very sick and was hospitalized. He said it was one of the lowest points in his life.
He realized he was wrong. Hate will eat you alive. It will eat you alive. But when I finally did meet with him in person, it was as though I'd known this guy, for almost my whole life, and we've become brothers.
But can people like Scott and Jeff really change?
There are people who will go to their grave being hateful and violent and racist. There's absolutely no change in them whatsoever. But many of the people that I've sat down with have those same feelings. There is the opportunity to plant a seed, and it requires a lot of water, a lot of nurturing that seed to make it grow.
Now Scott and Daryl give speeches together. Daryl introduced Scott to Bernice King, the daughter of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
He is a force for good. He is the definition of what he calls himself, the reformed racist. And I'm proud to call Scott Shepard my brother.
Daryl, he saved my life.
Daryl sees what's happening in the country today, and he realized...
Oh, Philando, I think we just passed his anniversary too of his death.
There's a lot to do, but he's optimistic that change can happen.
People today are still very racist. Not everybody. It's getting better. As I told you before, the page is turning. But we're not, to the end of the book, we're not even...
It's weird. He'll say things like, not everyone's racist, but like a majority of people are racist, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is he saying that only a few people are racist? Or is he saying that like the world as a globe is racist? Like everyone on the planet is engaging. Like there's no place on the planet that's safe from racism. You know what I mean? So it feels like the story is almost like there's only the KKK are racist, you know?
To the end of the chapter yet, but at least we're getting there.
If the question is, can you change the mind of a racist? Daryl would say the answer is yes, if we can help them remember that they are human first.
Oops, I didn't mean to go to a different video. Again, I think there's like this idea of like, if I just do the work, they'll do the work. And I think, again, I will give you the tools. Whether or not you use the tools, none of my business, you know? But I don't think you can change people's minds. I think they change their minds by utilizing the tools that you give them. And that's what I'm trying to do today. I'm not trying to change your mind. I'm just going to give you the tools. You can use them or not use them. It's up to you, right? Like, I'm not going to force you to change. I don't think that's my job. I used to think it was my job. I was trained to think it was my job, that it was my job to change people, my job to care for people, my job to go the extra mile in doing all this work and meeting people where they were and understanding their childhood and doing all these things. But I don't need to do any of that before I give you tools. I can give you tools without knowing anything about you. Because the tools, I'm giving you, they're either going to work for you or they're not. I don't need to know anything about you. You can watch a video of mine. Here's something I say and say, oh, that doesn't help me. Throw it away. Oh, that did help me. I'm going to keep that one. That's your job. Your job is to listen and take what's good for you and throw out the rest. My job is to just give everybody the tools I have. That's my only job. Again, whether or not you use them or not, that's on you. That has nothing to do with me. Okay? All right. Now, what we're going to do is, first of all, is this in the French Quarter? Because I feel like I've been here. This is the fight to make queer spaces accessible. This looks so much like New Orleans, but I see a beach, so maybe not. Not that there isn't water. Where is this? I'm really excited to watch this. This is Discord recommended this video. So I have 2 more videos I want to watch with you. The fight to make queer spaces accessible. And then I found a new kind of Jubilee knockoff video called 1 Bisexual Ally versus 20 Bisexual Erasures. And it's like Jamboree Media, and it's just a bunch of queer people in a room arguing. And I was like, queer on queer argue? And so that looks really interesting, and I don't understand what it is. And I almost feel like it's a satire, but I don't think it is. I think it's real. So anyways, I'm excited. Oh, chances I love Jamboree. Oh, good. So you know what they are. Are they satire? Are they real? It's such a good channel. Yes, it is satire. Why is it 11-minute video that's satire? Okay, we'll have fun watching that then. Okay, let's take a 2-minute break. We'll come back. We'll have that discussion. And then, of course, if you guys have any questions while I'm away, I'll come back and answer them, of course. Okay, I'll be right back. You can listen to Elvin's music, link in the description. They're on Spotify, and she's on YouTube. Very talented artist. All right. Pausing music in 1, 2, 3. I just want to say really fast. I was going back and forth a little bit, not much, in the comment sections about like when I say like femmes or raised femme or women. When I say raised femme, I'm also thinking about like non-binary people, men, gay boys, twinks. I'm thinking about like anybody who is like is feminine, anybody who was raised, anybody who was like given that leeway, anybody who just was. I think there's like I have to figure out the best way to explain what I mean when I say it. But the dilemma is, again, I don't know who's listening, I don't know who's watching. Like I don't know who I'm talking to sometimes. So then I just talk the way that I talk and I hope that it makes sense. But yeah, like when I say like, you know, like trans, like, okay, Kat Black talks about this a lot. Because Kat Black, like, wasn't really, at some point in her life, she wasn't really raised as a boy because she never got to be a man because she transitioned really young. So she was a boy at some point, but not really, like, because she was never a boy. She was always a woman. Like, that's the thing about being trans. Like, what does it even mean to be born a man or a woman or raised as or who has, like, if Kat's never had the experience of being an adult man and a woman says, oh, well, trans women still have the, they're still men because they assume they transition when they're grown-ups. But then were you ever a man to begin with is always the question. There are people who think trans people like go from man to woman. And some people think like you didn't go from one to the other. Like I'm kind of the person who's like, you didn't really go from one to another. I don't know that I believe that. You know what I mean? I don't know that that's even true because I think gender is a performance. And I don't just mean like, I mean, when people say like, oh, there is sex, like even that's not really true. Like, yes, we have sex as a concept and in a bubble, but like, it's not the way you think it is because that's not how we assign reality at birth. Do you know what I'm saying? That's not how we assign children's gender. So you don't know what's going on biologically. You don't know if people have stuff going on. You don't know what children are going through. Like there's so many things that we don't know. We don't know what the baby's going to be like, but we start conditioning before they're even born. What color should we paint their room? Where are they going to go to school? Who are they going to be in locker rooms with? Like before babies even exist, we've decided to put them into buckets and there's only 2 options. 2 options in a planet of 8 billion people. You've given me 2 options. You know what I'm saying? So it just feels really silly and reductive to sit here and say, like, we know what a man is. I know what a woman is. Like, I know what to do with, like, 2 options in a world of 8 billion. I don't know. It feels silly, you know? Okay, so let's do this. Let's do this. Let's watch the fight to make queer spaces accessible. This looks cool. Thank you, Discord. Appreciate that.
Spaces represent a...
Oop, let's rewind it.
Queer spaces represent a safe and supportive place where queer people can be supported by other queer people. It's kind of bizarre in the queer community to have so many queer people championed to like call out homophobia or transphobia and things like that. But when it comes to ableism, that's never talked about, and that's never something.
Hold on. Finn is they, them, trans non-binary person who recently moved to Tamaki Makarara. Where is that? Is that in... I don't know where that is. Finn lives with autism, POTS, fibromyalgia, shout out, a disorder where people experience widespread muscle pain, fatigue, and tenderness. Twins! Where is this? New Zealand? Australia?
Something that's worked through. Queer disabled people,
New Zealand.
I just never thought about and never talked about and never involved. It's not only frustrating, but it's extremely upsetting. It quite literally feels like you're watching everyone else in the community through a wall of glass that you aren't able to enter.
Wait, what's the disability? Cute.
Hi, my name is Finn. I'm 20 years old. I use they, them pronouns.
Oh my God, bro, YouTube has legit been so bad this week. Look at it, it's freezing. It's literally not loading. Is it sending audio? Have you guys had my app? It's only YouTube. Everything else is working in my house except for YouTube. No. Is chat working? YouTube is fighting us today. It's so weird. It's transphobic. YouTube is transphobic. It's really fucking annoying, actually. It's only been YouTube. Please. I want to watch Finn tell us about their life. Oh, that YouTube AI is trying to comprehend. Bro, I don't know what they're changing. I got a lot of notifications behind the scenes about like YouTube upgrading, YouTube changing, YouTube doing this. And I was like, what is this? So I know YouTube is doing something. There's like an overhaul happening, you know?
Pronouns.
Oh.
I identify as queer, neurodivergent, and disabled. I have MECFS, POTS, fibromyalgia, chronic joint pain, IBS, chronic pelvic pain, chronic migraines. Those are most of my physical ones.
Relatable. Universe hates us.
I have to take some supplements, electrolytes, and sometimes some salt.
My brother in fucking Christ. I don't know what to do.
I need it. I also need to have a lot of water in the morning. It's usually around the house. I just use my cane and my knee braces. A lot of the time I also use stools in the house because I can't stand up for very long, but if I'm going out of the house, I alternate between using a walker or a wheelchair. I think something I kind of really struggle with is like labeling my gender and my sexuality. But I think this is probably because I'm autistic as well. I find it quite hard to box myself into a specific label. So I just label myself as queer, I guess. But if I was to really dig into it, my gender identity would be trans non-binary or gender diverse, and my sexuality would just be queer. It's taken me a very long time to work through letting go of people's expectations of what I should be and actually just embracing who I am. I'm definitely someone who's...
Pause. Yo, eyeshadow with your finger. Everybody, you deserve a brush. As a girly who used to use her finger because she was autistic and unable to do her makeup, I'm just telling you this right now. Use a brush. It will change your life. It will get better. It's very hard, but I promise you, if you can, if your disability allows you to, use a brush and liberate yourself from the finger. Okay? Liberate yourself. If you want, you don't have to do anything, but I'm just telling you right now, they're meant to blend. This is the thing I've learned from Makeup YouTube. They are meant to blend. And you can only blend so much with a finger. Okay, don't get me wrong. Do I blend with my fingers sometimes? But you know what I'm saying?
Appearance changes a lot. Part of being queer for me and being trans is that with like hormones and like gender affirming surgery.
Oh, by the way, guys, can I just show you? You see this necklace I'm wearing? It's Freddie Mercury. You see it? I made this. But I made it a long time ago. I made myself a bunch of jewelry and stuff when I thought I was going to be an Etsy girly. It's Freddie Mercury. It's one of my favorite necklaces I've ever made. There you go. I found this picture in a magazine and I cut it out. I put it in this necklace and then I put the pieces all together and gathered it. And then I made this necklace. Anyways, we're back to crafting, girls. This is an old necklace, but...
And makeup and clothing and hairstyle and tattoos and piercings. I see all those sorts of things
there we
as
go. We got a
ways
brush.
to explore and alter my body in a way that I feel is more comfortable for me. For me, a part of being like neurodivergent, I just don't really adhere to social norms at all. And so I think with like my queerness, a lot of the time it does kind of tend to get me into trouble. And I think especially like being disabled, I just don't look like anyone you would see normally. I don't tend to really think about that because I just feel happy and comfortable being myself. I think I'm a very political person. I think that's always been a really big passion of mine, and I think especially with being disabled and queer, a lot of my politics revolve around accessibility in our society, or rather, the lack of it. So Battle Jacket is a jacket that lots of punks wear to like show their interests and political views.
Cute.
My identities and also my politics, I think, are tied in very closely with who I am, and so like I like to put that into my appearance. It makes me feel
Love a jean jacket, honestly.
confident not only in myself
I don't own one, but if I did, it would look like this.
and who I am, but also in representing the identities and communities I belong to. A lot of the time, societal views around disabled people are that your disabled body isn't something that you should be proud of or be flaunting, and that it's something that should be hidden away from people and not represented in the mainstream, but that ideology is really wrong. I want people to know that I'm proud to be disabled and that I'm happy. I'm really hoping that I get to wear this to K Road, since it's the most important queer space.
Fuck. I'll just answer Discord verbally since it's freezing on us and I need to talk while this loads. Discord said that's why your accessory game has been on game has been on the last few weeks. Listen, now that we have a little bit more spending money in our budget, I'm back to crafting and doing art stuff, and it doesn't take much to do my hobbies, but it does take more than we had before. So now that we have a little bit of flowing cash, I also dug out a lot of my art, and I dug out a lot of the art I've bought, and I dug out a lot of the crafts that I've made in the past. And, you know, they always say this, you're not ugly, you're just poor. I mean, you know, you're not, you know, a lack of fashion is really just a lack of money and taste. But, you know, because we're trying to survive in this capitalistic hellscape, you know, we're trying to be extra frugal and diligent as we do some stuff, but we just had, you know, we just hit one of our big goals. So now we have like a little bit of money to spend. So it's pretty exciting stuff. That's why I bought this nail polish. I finally had money for a new color. So that's pretty exciting. Okay, let's try this video again.
In the city. I really want to access queer spaces just so that I can be around people like me and people in my community. I think it's really important that queer spaces become more accessible and friendly to queer disabled people, because not only are we a part of the community, but everyone else in the community will become a part of us as well. A lot of events and spaces and buildings aren't actually accessible to disabled people. Disabled people can't even get through the door in the first place, so they're never seen in these spaces. It's just the problem of we're not able to access spaces, so we're never seen and so we're never thought about. This is a very high walker, and it has all-terrain wheels, which is really exciting for me because my old walker had really worn down wheels. And the seat is like so much more comfortable and the brake's really good. It's just a really good walker. Unfortunately, a lot of like walking aids, they're made for like older people. And so there's not really any walkers or rollators that have like a nice color for like young people or anyone who doesn't want like a boring red or blue. Right now, I'm kind of obsessing over the colors orange and lavender. I think in terms of my queer expression, customizing my mobility aids really represents how those intersections of being queer and disabled meet together for me.
You.
Today we're going to go out to Kalangahape Road. So I'm going to be wearing a battle jacket that I just finished with the big patch on the back.
Love it.
And I'm also going to be taking out my new walking frame that
I like this pink one too.
Painted lavender. Going out into queer spaces and forcing myself as a disabled person into inaccessible.
Guys, I think this is going to be our last video today. I can't do this. I don't have the fucking patience. Okay, so maybe we'll watch the other one on Monday. But this is going to be our last video today. I can't. I'm going to fucking scream. Nothing I hate more than a lack of internet connection. That's such a privilege, you know, but like, okay, hear me out. I can't. But listen to me when I say I love everything about this, because this is such an important part of life. Customization, feeling seen, decorating. This is why I love to decorate the vessel. This is what I'm saying. I love to decorate this thing. That's, you know, what I'm saying. Honestly, I'm so tempted to get pink bangs or like a color here. I'm so tempted to do this strip This one here that's growing out, I'm so tempted to do like a little bit of a, you know what I mean? Like, I can't figure out what color would complement the rest of my head though. Like, and I have henna in my hair, so I can't even do it. So I can't even do it until I grow out all this hair. So then I'm like, never mind, I'm not gonna do it. But I have henna. See, I already, no. But I want to do it. But then I was like, I'll just get a wig. And then I was like, maybe I'll spend my extra money on some hair extensions. So then I was like, okay, I'll get hair extensions, curly hair extensions. And then I'll put color in my hair because I have henna. You know? That's what I think I'll do. Yeah, clip-ins, exactly. I think I'm gonna get some clip-ins just to accessorize. Plus, I swear to God, if one more person mistakes me for Brittany Venti, I'm gonna have to kill myself. Listen, I got another comment from someone who said, Brittany, I've been avoiding your content because I thought you were Brittany Venti. And I was like, this is suck. My name sucks. I'm so mad at my dad right now. I want to go back to 1989 and say, how dare you name me Brittany? So in the future, when I'm a YouTuber, Brittany Venti and I are gonna get mistaken for each other. You know how many people have avoided my content? Guys, my channel is being silenced because I look like a bigot. That's what's happening. I am being silenced because of a bigot. Okay, let's try this video one more time. Let's try.
Accessible spaces. I just like seeing queer non-disabled people be shocked at seeing a queer disabled person force themselves into a space that they are not usually seen in. Karangi Happy Road is a really awesome queer space, but I think in terms of accessibility, it's really not up to par.
Oh, Discord said, just a reminder, as a former makeup girly, some eyeshadow are actually made to be applied with the finger because they're so pigmented. For sure. For sure. Absolutely true. Good reminder. Good reminder.
A lot of the stores aren't accessible. You can't a lot of the time fit a wheelchair through aisles of racks or shelves, or the entrance isn't accessible and you can't even get in the door. There's also no disabled toilet on the entire street.
Exactly.
And that's just bizarre because there are non-disabled toilets there. It's definitely interesting how almost overtly disabled people are left out on K Road. It would also be good if cracks in pavement were fixed because that makes it really hard to navigate if you're in a wheelchair. Whether or not you want to be visible when you're disabled, you're visible anyways. You don't really have a choice with being.
People also like kind of read it. Like sometimes you think you're masking really well or you're blending really well, but people notice subtly the different, like the most, in the same way that people think I'm Brittany Venti because people don't really look, they just see the curly hair and they go, oh, Brittany Venti. And then my name is Brittany. They go, okay, it must be the same Brittany, right? They don't really look at you. They don't really see that there's a difference. They go, okay. Same thing with like disability or like queerness or autism. I feel like sometimes people see a subtlety, but they don't know what it is. And when people, because we're animals, I think this is like so much compassion I've had for myself over the years came from the reality that like, oh, I don't always have an explanation for why I feel a certain way. But if I'm an animal and I'm feeling a vibe, then I'll have an answer for it eventually. But there's a lot of things happening in the background of our brains that are protecting us, that are helping us, that are also sometimes like maybe also wrong. But for the most part, I feel like there's so much happening that our brain, our body, we're noticing things in the corners of our eyes. We're feeling the vibes in a room. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've walked into a room and I'm like, ooh, do you guys just fight? And they're like, how could you tell? And I was like, well, first of all, the air is fucking thick as fuck in here. And also like your body, everyone's body language is fucked. Like everything is wrong. You know, like, that's how you know if your lover is having a bad day. That's how I know if I walk into the room, I'm like, are you okay? Like, you think I'm not going to notice a subtle change in you? Like, you can't hide it from me, bro. Like, you can only hide it from me if I'm genuinely not paying attention or you are the most stealthy agent anyone's ever seen. You know what I'm saying? But otherwise, like human beings, like we're always saying who we are. It's like, you know, when you're a teenager and your parents are like, how are they supposed to know you were depressed? And you're like listening to Linkin Park and My Chemical Romance and you're like, I want to die. It's 2007. You know, it's like, what do you think is happening? You know, we never knew you were depressed. Oh, anyways.
Queer, you can like dress yourself down to pass as straight or pass as cis for safety if you need to. When you're disabled, you don't have that kind of privilege. You're overtly disabled and people will take notice of that all the time. I definitely like to challenge people's assumptions of me and assumptions of disabled people. And so I really enjoy being very overt in my disabledness. One of the best ways to amplify queer disabled voices in our community is to call out institutional and physical inaccessibility when you see it in queer spaces.
Definitely.
Because if only
Oh my gosh, cute mask.
people are doing it, nothing's gonna change. There needs to
And the piercing placement is so perfect. Oh my God.
be non-disabled allies who are also calling out ableism in our community.
Such a good video. Thank you so much, Discord, for that. Hold on, let's just see if a little bit of this video works. Let's just see a little bit.
Bisexual.
I don't know if I can watch an 11-minute video of satire. I will be honest with you, satire is only funny for like a minute for me, max. So I thought this was real, but now that you're telling me it's satire, I'm not watching 11 minutes of a satirical video. I'm not that girl. That's why I don't like British humor. Because I'm like, okay, I'm bored. The joke's gone on too long, so let's give it.
Men are a scourge on society.
Well, give me some kinds of lesbians. Name 8 kinds of lesbians.
So you're saying that women are annoying by nature?
Ethan, you are beautiful.
Oh no, that's not gonna fly.
Sorry, you could be beautiful.
Okay.
Okay, that's pretty funny. That's pretty funny.
I feel like I just saw someone move to the back of the bus. My name is Ethan Filler. My claim is bisexual women with boyfriends are the most suppressed members of the LGBT community.
True. Actually true. Don't tell the lesbians on TikTok that. I'm also being sarcastic.
Counting or not counting gangbang?
Bro. Dark, bro.
Counting. Oh, we're not doing another countdown? Okay, fine. All right.
We're supposed to, that's fine.
Okay.
Sonny does this.
I never listen to the rules, my bad. I don't listen to men. Speaking of which, Ethan, what would you consider yourself?
Confused. Homosexual. I'm a homosexual man.
Totally. And so I would argue that perhaps you're thinking that bisexual women with boyfriends are the most oppressed members of our community.
Yes.
Is kind of coming from a place of deep insecurity, because I think that you, perhaps, judging by your general look and vibe, really yearn to be a bisexual woman with a boyfriend, but are afraid of the oppression that you'll face.
This does kind of feel like friends talking to each other. Like this has to be this must be a very safe space. Because this would hurt some people's feelings, but this is funny. But this is a very safe space.
Absolutely, I'd like to address this head on. I think to compare, I believe you're implying transgenderism. I think to compare me to a trans person is an affront and an insult to every trans person. Be they trans man, trans woman, non-binary, or any expression. I'm barely human.
No, Ethan, I think that you saying that further proves my point. It's okay.
Okay.
Give me your hands.
Okay.
There is still time. Ethan, you are beautiful.
Oh no, that's not gonna fly. That's not gonna go on the.
Sorry, you could be beautiful.
Okay.
And you would make a lovely addition to our diverse and deeply oppressed community.
Thank you so much.
And you already date men.
I don't.
Sorry.
I sure would like to.
You already tried to date men. Wouldn't it be nicer? I got bored.
That was pretty good.
And if anyone.
Okay, we'll watch a little longer.
If any shooters would like to get an estrogen right into my neck. Okay. Are we doing? We're doing the
countdown.
Okay. Hello.
Now I hear you about.
Did we turn the mic off in that hustle?
Oh no.
Silencing trans women.
Check.
No, wait. Push the white button on the bottom.
Wow, this is really this is good. This is good. This is all part of the bit.
The flags are going up. The flags are going up. All right, pause. You can vote it out. Can you bring me that microphone on your way out?
Oh man.
Yo!
You know, I take back what I said about watching satire for too long. I forgot how funny the gays are. I'm so sorry, queer community. I forgot how funny we are. I'm sorry that I was thinking about heterosexuals trying to be funny and I was losing my patience, but I forgot how funny we are, you know?
You didn't make it in the chair, Fag. Get out.
It's a comfortable space. This is this is not for the heterosexuals. This is a very comfortable gay space.
Okay.
She's behind me, isn't she? So you're saying bisexual women with boyfriends are the most oppressed group, and I will sort of agree but counter. You might not know this about me, but I used to be a bisexual woman with a boyfriend.
Okay, I'm so sorry.
I know. And here's the thing: is yes, the most oppressed group, but they deserve it.
Okay. Okay.
Not one flag.
I would have to say that I didn't necessarily argue that they didn't deserve it. That wasn't part of my claim.
That's true.
Would you like to expand upon that, or was that the whole thing?
I think that like at that point in my life, what I remember really strongly, you know, the cloud of like gender dysphoria is really strong, but mostly I remember being really annoying.
Yeah.
So I think that like ultimately.
So you're saying that women are annoying by nature?
Yeah.
And then testosterone.
And then it fixed it. Yeah. Fucking God.
All right, I'm gonna pause. You've been voted out. I'm gonna vote you out. Okay. That's enough. That happened for me for that.
You said trans men can't be misogynist.
Who said that?
Who said that? A lot of people on Twitter right now, actually. Okay, countdown. Okay, all right.
You gotta get. I know.
I will offer that I do believe that it is cis gay men with receding hairlines. Unfortunately, I do believe that specific community is not only oppressed by everyone else, but by themselves. They have the hardest time out there, and that is projected outwards, and so the force of that projection is actually a reflection of how oppressed they are.
Okay, but cis gay men with receding hairlines, in turn, take that oppression and turn that into creating, say, American Horror Story. And they take that oppression and put it out into the world. So I would say that it is a net zero. The demons that gay men with receding hairlines bring into the world outweighs any oppression they may experience.
So you think that the power that American Horror Story has and the negative effects therein on the rest of society are an indication that they are not oppressed or the most oppressed? Because I would say that the damage which American Horror Story has done to our collective psyche is...
Honestly.
All right, pause. We voted out.
Oh my God, did they get hit in the face? With the flag?
Yeah, I'm fine. Oh, come on.
Counting or not count? Sorry.
Hey, Ethan.
Hi.
I feel like the most oppressed group is perpetually single bisexual men, you know?
Okay.
Who can relate?
No. I would say that bisexual women with boyfriends are the most oppressed. Bisexual men are a scourge on society.
Does that not make them oppressed?
No.
Okay. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Is this flirting?
Should we kiss? Is that what this is?
I mean, I got hit in the face. Maybe kiss? Yes.
Don't. Oh my goodness. Hold on. Wait a second.
No, I don't want to get up. It's the whole thing. Flag.
All right,
No
pause.
one's been able to disprove me. I'm going to say it right now.
Yeah, I feel like Ethan's kind of lying.
Yeah. Get in there.
Hey,
Hi.
I'm a bisexual woman. I'm a bisexual woman with a boyfriend, and I don't think this looks like oppression to you, does it?
It does.
Oh, shit.
That was the most awkward thing I've ever seen in my life. Not to bring the comparison, but I feel like you say bisexual women with boyfriends are unoppressed. I feel like I just saw someone get hosed down by it was not. I feel like I just saw someone move to the back of the bus.
No, I don't know about that joke. I don't know about that joke.
Someone to my right.
I don't know about that. I don't know about
disgusting. Yeah, go ahead. Take it.
You know what's racist?
Yeah.
You did that. Okay.
Yo, I'm kind of afraid someone's gonna get their eye. Oh, okay, good. It has a dull end at the bottom. You know what I mean? Yeah, Chet, not enough black people there for that one. Yeah, I think so too. I think they were like, he was trying to think of something funny, but the humor, I can only see like one black guy in the audience, so I don't know about that joke there. You know what I mean? Like, I think he was trying, but it didn't quite hit the way that it should have, because it was like, that one's a little.
Can you really quickly for me?
Yes.
If bisexual women with boyfriends are bottom, power rank the oppression of the LGBTQ community.
Absolutely.
In hierarchical order from least to most oppressed.
Okay, it's going really fast. Okay.
Yeah, you got a minute to do this.
Least oppressed to most oppressed?
Yeah, make
least
it
oppressed, cis gay men.
Yeah.
Okay. No, sorry, least oppressed non-binary people. I'm so sorry.
There's no N up there.
Yeah, whatever.
LGBTQ.
Yeah, they should add an N. But and then then I would have to say cis gay men. Then I would have to say bisexual men. And then I would have to say 24 seconds. And then I would have to say
Just no mention of women yet.
And that's the way I'm gonna keep it. And then
It was the end joke another racist joke? Was that another racial joke? I couldn't tell. I'm still thinking about it. They should add an N. But every time I hear N, I only think of the N word. So is he making an N joke? They should add an N. Is that, I know it was non-binary. I know that's the joke, but obviously if they're comedians, then the joke would be non-binary. They should add an N. But if somebody was in the LGBTQI and they're like, oh, I'm the N word. I'm the N. Right? It's a double entendre. Yeah, chat. It's a double entendre. Right? That's what humor is. Humor is supposed to be a joke on top of a joke. So the joke has to be, because otherwise, why is it funny? Right? Oh yeah, they should add it. Why is it, then why would people laugh? Because they should add an N? Because they're oppressed? I don't get the joke. Anyways, it doesn't matter.
I would say lesbians and then bisexual women without boyfriends.
You gave so many specifics for gay men. Well, give me some kinds of lesbians. Name 8 kinds of lesbian.
Okay.
And all of their albums.
Original flavor, extra salt.
Hi, my name is Matt Lopes, and my claim is nobody needs to watch a movie that came out before 1995.
Okay, so anyways, I don't know what channel this is, but apparently some of you guys do know it, so there you go. This is Jamboree Media. We like to see queer people all in a room together. That's interesting. I wonder where they're from. It's definitely not so it's funny, but it's not funny enough for me. This kind of humor, it's not exactly my bubble, if that makes sense. I would probably enjoy it more if I was there. But as a viewer, I think I'd rather watch a tofu cooking video. But I also appreciate the attempt. This is always the hard part about is this content for me, or is this content just something I enjoyed watching with you? I think I enjoyed watching it with you. Right? That was nice. Yeah, Chess says the T includes the N, could also be the joke. Oh yeah, that could also be the joke, since non-binary people are trans, so we wouldn't need to add the N. But because they're the most oppressed, the joke is separating them away from the trans joke. So maybe that's the joke. You know what I mean? That's the thing about humor is are we laughing because the delivery is funny? Are we laughing because the delivery makes sense? This is always the guess. I think a lot of comedians aren't as funny as their delivery is funny, and that's what you're laughing at. But I don't watch stand-up comedy for this reason. It usually goes, I think that is my autism, where I'm I'm more likely to laugh at a room of people laughing than I am to laugh at a joke. Because I think people laughing is funnier than the joke sometimes. You know what I mean? I don't know. Anyways, guys, that's it for today. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a great, safe, and wonderful weekend. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you again on Monday. And just a reminder for the Discord, we were off last week, but we're back again. We're doing Korra, the series. We have a Discord 101 later in the month. And then, of course, the Avatar movie is coming out, so we're going to discuss that, which is exciting. It's finally going to stream on Paramount. So the leaked one, I didn't watch the leaked version, but the streaming version is coming out on the 25th of July. We're going to talk about it in August. So just a heads up. With that said, I will see you guys on Monday. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it so much. Okay, bye-bye. 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 Bye.